special meeting for the Single Family Design Board on what is today, September 30th. Okay, I'm assuming we still start with a roll call.
Thank you. I'll proceed with roll call. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Moslahi,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry.
Yes.
We have quorum.
Okay, great. So we will start with general public comment. This is for any item not on the agenda.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for general public comment. If anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will turn our attention to virtual public comment. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for virtual public comment. We did not receive any written correspondence for general public comment, and at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, great. So we're here today for the pre-approved accessory dwelling unit programs, and thank you to everyone for the scheduling issues that we have. We appreciate everyone's flexibility. Are there any staff comments to begin with?
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I just really want to thank the board for accommodating the special meeting and for the applicants for your patience when we had to reschedule. And thanks everybody for being here. And that's all. If you have any specific questions, I've got a whole lot of material over here that I can bring up. So.
Okay. And my understanding today is that the goal is to do an approval with comments that staff then has the ability to check if needed, approval as is and or not approved, rather than continuing projects after today. Is that correct?
That's correct. And just as a reminder, we're asking for an approval with conditions, or a denial of the designs. And this is all, this is not exactly a formal action by the board. This is a recommendation to staff to approve or deny. This is the final hearing that we have scheduled that we can accommodate for this program. So we do ask you to take an action today. We can't do any continuances today.
Okay. And then is it appropriate or not that when we go to each item to state whether they've already received approval from another board?
We can certainly look at that. I do have the minutes from ABR and HLC, so we can pull those up if those are helpful.
Okay.
I was just going to ask if we want to put certain guardrails or conditions in place, such as approve the design but not within the front setback. Do you want us to do those one by one or as a whole? I know that we kind of came to a consensus as a board, some of the general conditions.
The best thing to do would be to make a motion individually for each project, for each application, and specify whether you think the design is appropriate in the front yard or not.
Okay.
I will say that ABR and HLC both prohibited these in the front yard.
Okay, great, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay. So we will start with our first item, which is number 103, Stickles. And this is a proposal for pre-approval of an 800 square foot, one-story detached ADU with a gable roof in Spanish style. Okay.
There are lots of items here in the folder. I have your old plans as well as the new plans. So feel, I mean, this is the new ones? Yeah.
Yeah, and one note here that would be helpful for the board to keep in mind, the exterior colors are to be approved as shown on the plans or to match the primary residence. And then for the public, all of these are recommendations, so they're non-appealable. This design was last reviewed on July 15th, so as a part of your presentation, it'd be helpful for you to pull up and or address comments the board made previously and how you made any adjustments for that. If you feel appropriate, you can share any feedback from other boards and how you made changes for their recommendations as well. So you'll have 15 minutes, if you don't mind stating your name, and you can begin.
Hello, I'm Adam Stickles, and I'm here to present my ADU again. Previously, we went over a lot of the material objects that needed to be changed, which was the stucco, the tiling, and what kind of was being placed on there. So I addressed that with making sure that it was stated that it was going to be smooth stucco applied to the outside. The two-piece tile was shown on the materials board, along with the concrete patio, which was previous, is now a terracotta tile patio to more keep the same style, but also to match existing if need be. There was a comment about light fixtures needing to be different, so I represented two different ones, one that's placed on the rear of the building and one that is a pendant that was recommended by HLC, I do believe, and to be in the front door. There was a comment that they would like to see some kind of mock site plan amongst these, so there was one represented. Same with a existing residence floor plan. There was the comment to add an option for with or without the fireplace. So now the floor plans are representative of that. One where it shows an island but no fireplace in the kitchen, and then the one where the fireplace is still there and prevalent. Electrical plans early set. These are the exterior renderings. There was a comment that the chimney was set too high previously for what it was, so that was brought down to just above by maybe a foot above the roof line. Roof plan. Section views were updated a little bit here. And they have the elevations that was a change to windows spacing where they were going on center of the wall and how the light breakups were being handled. So those were all addressed. This is without the chimney, so same kind of look but without the chimney. The big change on the exterior was I added a wider door in the rear, but that was to take up the wall space. If that would to be changed, that's okay. Detailing for this section, same with the chimney, to tile, and the sloped sill doors and windows, or windows. And that is my presentation.
All right, thank you. We will move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so. We will turn our attention to virtual comment. And at this time, I have no hands raised for this particular project, and we did not receive any written correspondence. So at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, great, thank you. I remember this one before, and I think you've done a great job. I think the detailing helps kind of bring it all together. And I saw that HLC has also approved this with some minor comments. I think you said you addressed that with their light fixtures that they had recommended. We'll start with any questions, and I just have one, which I'm curious what dictated the location of window 10. That's your front window to the right of the door.
That was to align with the kitchen faucet.
Oh, got it. Okay. Okay. Perfect. Any other questions?
Could I just quickly see the palette for the materials? Okay, and then question for staff. So when we're making the motions for the projects, I know Chair Lewis read off, one of the notes is exterior colors are to be approved as shown on the plans or to match primary residence. Is that the same for, I know he mentioned for like the outdoor tile, the terracotta tile, for light fixtures, just in general, do we need to make a motion, or is that pretty obvious that it's to match existing or as proposed in these plans?
For colors that are to match existing, we're referring to kind of the exterior massing colors. So, what color the walls are going to be, essentially. I think it's just implied that these will either be approved as shown on plans or to match the existing house. And when we receive an application to permit one of these pre-approved ADUs, they'll be able to specify
Okay.
in that, whether they want to go with what was approved by the SFDB in terms of, main massing color, or if they want to choose something different.
Okay.
On that note, is there anything that we need to or should, if they do a little Spanish one in the main house is a wood house that's like blue, does it make sense for us to include in these very particular style that says like if the main house is not plastered, it can't match, or what do you think?
In general, the fewer conditions that you put on these, the more effective the program's going to be in
Okay.
terms of getting ADUs built in the city.
Seamlessly, okay.
We hope that most people will just build these, as they're shown on the plans. I doubt that we would get an application for a blue stuccoed ADU, but as part of the motion, I can't think of. I'll think about it. I don't think there's any way to really address that. But I'll ponder it.
It makes sense on the ones that have siding or colors like that, definitely match whatever's there. But if it's a completely different style and they're choosing it and they're matching colors that aren't equivalent styles, that's just a question. But otherwise, I think it looks good and approvable. Comments from the board?
I only have one question. I remember that we had a general comment on all the projects that if there's a possibility.
Sorry, do you mind speaking into the mic?
It's on.
Thank you.
Oh, I see. There was a comment that we made to have the floor plans, the option to flip, the orientation. I'm wondering if there's thought about this because the windows, it's mostly on one side.
Yes, the bedroom side. And then also on the exterior with the living room. But there has been thought put into the flipping of it, but that just hasn't been shown yet.
How is staff addressing that?
Applicants may choose to provide that kind of information on the plans if they'd like to. We haven't implemented a requirement to make applicants show different orientations of their pre-approved ADU. We think that a lot of that will be very site-specific, and even if you provide multiple different flips, you may not get exactly what you're looking for when you go to permit this on a site. Therefore, it's not really considered.
Do you want us to include a statement that that a mirroring of the plan would be approved, or does that matter?
Yeah, how are you dealing with that with individual
Yeah.
cases?
It doesn't really matter at this point.
Okay.
It's, at this time, basically what you're seeing on the plans is
General thing. Okay.
what's proposed. And if we do implement a requirement to flip these orientations in the future, then those will be shown on the plans. But what we're asking for is your review and approval of what's shown today on the plans.
Okay.
With the understanding that people could mirror them or flip them?
No, they wouldn't be able to mirror them or flip them
Because we're
unless they show
approving
it.
this.
Okay.
We're
Yep.
approving this, and that's
It kind of doesn't make sense because there are going to be all kinds of orientations. and
Right, that would be, yeah.
So this is going to apply to maybe a quarter of the people that try to submit this plan.
Yeah, our recommendation would be to allow mirroring so that it better suits the site.
Or staff can do that, and we don't have to be involved with it.
Yeah, exactly.
That's something that I think we should talk about
Separately.
separately
Okay,
offline
okay.
when we propose to make improvements to the program.
Okay.
This isn't the final form of how we're going to be doing the
Okay.
program.
So we are approving this, considering that, assuming that we're not looking at any direction. We're not on the
Correct.
right side of
Yeah.
the sheet is not the west or the east. So we're assuming there's no orientation.
Right. Don't assume any directionality.
Okay. And one last question around the setback of the windows. They look white on the renderings, but they are the same when they set back.
Yeah, it's just
Yeah,
the
it's
lighting.
The lighting,
Yeah.
yeah, the tapered. Okay. Okay. Just that.
Okay, any other?
Yeah, I
comments?
had a couple of questions. Can you go to the elevation that shows the chimney relative to the ridge?
I know, it looks like it's
It looks like
low,
it's
but
low.
I think it's because of the taper down.
What's the dimension between the edge of the chimney and the ridge? Is it less than 10 feet?
Between the edge of the chimney and the ridge?
Yeah, like if
Inside
you
the
look
edge of
at
the
your
chimney.
lower left elevation, so per code normally, within 10 feet, you need to be 2 feet high. If you're, so if
So-
the distance there is,
This was addressing a comment from the architectural
Right.
board. They wanted it to be dropped lower,
Okay.
even if it was not to spec. It was proposed at spec as 2 feet above ridge,
okay.
but they decided to take that
Well,
down.
good luck with that through the
Yeah,
building
good luck
department.
Yeah.
I mean, we can do something different than.
I mean, it
No,
must
I
be-
know,
It
yeah.
must be a fake
yeah.
chimney then, because there's no way that would get through the building department.
Yeah.
And the reason I brought that comment up is, I can bring that up in comments. You answered the question. The arch at the entryway, how deep is that arch? The walls that make up that,
8 feet, or
8
8
inches.
inches, sorry. 8
8
inches.
inches is the jam dimension that, that creates that profile. And then can I just see really quick on your details, the detail of that profile?
Oh, that is not provided currently. I just have the exterior doors and exterior windows. That arch profile is not detailed out currently.
Okay. Is the idea that it would be curved? Right now, it looks like 2 angles.
Yeah, that's why I wanted to see a detail of it. Can you
Actually, it kind
zoom
of
in on
varies
it?
on your renderings, and I
Yeah.
think that might be why.
Yeah, just zoom in on it. It doesn't look like an arch. It looks like a,
Yeah, it has a detailing to it.
It's different on 2 of them. So that one looks like it has a point, but on one of your other ones, it looks more curved.
I see what you're saying.
And I think it's the way that your rendering is being rendered, because same with your front door, it looks like it has points around it.
Yeah, it looks too jagged. It's
right.
supposed to be smoother.
Okay. So maybe we can include that in.
so it's supposed
the
to be
statement.
just an arch?
No, the arch has a small, like, OG bevel to it. That's what's creating the corners. And then it's a flat top, and then the door itself is the arch door.
Okay, okay. And then the vent detail at the gable, what's it, is it comprised of a clay piece that's inserted and extends out beyond the face of the plaster?
Yes,
Is there
but
a
they're-
detail for that too?
No, but they're representative. They're not legitimate vents.
Okay.
Okay. Any other questions? You want to start with comments?
My comments are that the fireplace doesn't work as detailed.
But are you open if it's taller and meets code and
That's-
the design aesthetic?
That's why I brought it up, because, yeah,
Okay.
if it has to be, because there's no really other good place to put this fireplace in this room, at the edge of a gable like that, so that's my comment about the fireplace. And then the arch is too complicated, the way it's drawn. You'd never be able to get as intricate of an OG as you have detailed, so I would simplify that and provide a detail. And then I think that the detail at the clay pipe vent needs to be added as well. And so that it shows the clay pipe relative to the outside of the plaster.
I agree. I think the detail at that arch, right now you're showing additional little pieces. And I think given the simplicity of the rest of the house, you could really simplify it here and just step down on both sides and or just arch it. And so I think, just so staff sees a simplified arch detail. Okay. Any other comments?
On the option that is without the chimney, I'm seeing on the north elevation, if you go to next sheet, the door here, on the one with the chimney, it's like divided light, like the rest of the windows. but on the one that it's without chimney, it's changed. Was there a reason?
That was to fill up that wall that is being used, so they got swapped to a bifold door. There was supposed to be light breakups present, but
Did you consider at all double doors with side lights?
no, I
Okay.
did not. I wanted the more opening.
Open, okay.
How do you other members think about this? I think like it's just
It's not common in that style.
that's why I asked because
But I think they could still do bifold with the divided lights.
Correct.
Are you opposed to divided lights?
No.
Okay. Is the board open to making that a requirement? Adding divided lights to the sliding doors on the rear? Okay. Any other comments?
No.
Great. I'll move to approve with conditions that the applicant provide a simplified arch detail at the front entry. Applicant provide details of the vents on the front and side elevations. The patio doors have divided lights. And the board approves a taller chimney as needed per code.
Second.
And if it was not clear in my motion, I approve both options with and without the fireplace. Okay, if we can take a roll call.
Chair Lewis, under discussion,
Oh, yes.
if you would like to place any locational
Oh, thank
conditions on
you.
this would be the time.
Yes. Would like to add a notion not to be in the front yard. Does the seconder
okay with
agree?
that.
Okay, great. Okay, now we can do a roll
Okay.
call.
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Graffitti,
Yes.
Board Member Moslehy,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
thank you.
Okay, we'll move to item 2, which is number 99, Bevy House. Proposal for pre-approval of a 741 square foot, one-story detached ADU with a flat roof in contemporary style. All the same comments as before, last reviewed on July 15th. So it'd be great, again, if you include any comments that the board made previously and/or other changes that you might have made. It would also be helpful if there are variations that we need to specify in our approval. So,
Okay. Rebecca Wiscombe for Bevy House. So the board, last time we were here, the board recommended that we lower the roof 6 inches and create a awning for shading the big window or big sliding doors that we have. So we have gone ahead and done that. And that is what we're showing here. So let me just scroll down. Oh, and also I put in a site plan, just noted out where the property line needs to be and how far away from other buildings it needs to be. And then here are the elevations of the awning. Let's see if I can zoom in for you there. That is one side. Here is the front view. So there's 2 separate awnings on top of each of the doors. And it goes out to the edge of the patio, which I believe is 6 feet. The materials have not changed, and the floor plan has not changed. Let me just show the renders here.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill out a slip and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will move on to virtual comment. And at this time, I have no hands raised for virtual comment on this project, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this project. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
All right, thank you. We will start with any questions from the board.
My only question was, I think the color listed for the stucco, is it just a white stucco? Is that just a standard color? Or,
Staff, do we need to have specific colors or like a specific paint or like a general white? How does staff kind of work off of that?
Generally, what's shown on the plans is to be considered by the board. So if there's no paint spec shown, then you can assume that the proposed color is to match the existing house.
No, so the spec shown on her page just says smooth white stucco. So does staff look at that and just any version of white is fine? And then us as a board would say, is that okay? Or do we need to give more clarity if the board then feels like it's needed?
If you'd like to get more, drill down further with that, you can.
Okay.
To be consistent with the SFDB guidelines, I'd recommend conditioning against a super bright white. Other than that, staff can review,
All
make
right.
sure it's not super bright white.
Any other questions from the board?
Just on that site plan that has been added, so there's a note on the red dash, 4 feet setback, and then 5 feet from existing structures. Can you clarify that 4 feet setback from property line? Is it
Yeah,
from?
from ADU.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that's from property line.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have a quick question about the framing of the trellis in the front. Can you just, do you have a visual, a detail of how the posts and the beams come together?
You know, let me see. I don't believe I do.
Because I noticed you had an open-ended tubular steel beam.
Yeah, I don't have a detail of that. We have our structural people looking at it right now. Or as soon as we get approved, we will have that.
Okay, so that answers my question.
Okay. Any comments from the board?
I would make a comment that the applicant provide a detail of the post-to-beam connections and how the open-ended trellis members are going to be treated, because it looks like everything's in line and it's flush framed, and it looks like the corners are mitered with no overhangs. So I'm not going to make comments on which one I would prefer. I think that's going to be up to you, but I think it needs to be detailed, and how it's being attached, what it's being attached to, like the backing, because to me it looks just a little high.
And I'm open, I don't know how to phrase, like I'm open for that awning to come down a little bit. It
Yes.
looks so close to that top.
It
Yeah.
looks like it should be lowered just a little bit. If you can get it lowered, I would prefer it a little bit lower than weighted on the top side of that plaster mass above the header, between the roof and the header. Should be brought down a little bit if you can.
Okay.
And that's
Yeah, do you
my
know what's
only-
dictating that height right now?
Yeah, it's the steel that's holding up the roof because it's the modular
It's sitting on
unit.
top of that.
Yeah.
Got it. Okay.
So it's sitting on top of the steel
of the
header.
steel header for the windows.
Oh.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay. Well, then if it can't be lowered, it seems like you should be able to weld the the joists onto the beam.
Yeah, is this also coming from the direction of lowering the ceiling or the top by 6 inches?
Yeah.
So I wonder if we'd be open to raising that even just 2 inches or 3 inches,
Raising what?
the roof line, if they
We
can't
already
lower
asked
the
them to
awning.
lower
I
it.
know. But that spacing is so tight.
Yeah, it
and
is really
feels
tight.
off.
So if the comment would be, I guess, for the maker of the motion, whoever that is,
Yeah.
would be to, if possible, lower the trellis relative to the top of the header and the total roof height. And if it's not possible to do that, then raise the roof again by several inches so that the trellis doesn't appear to be meeting the building at the very top of the roof.
Okay.
And then also then the comment would also be to provide detailing that illustrate the post and beam connections and the framing of the trellis, because that's such a particular architectural feature. I just think it should be detailed, and you haven't gotten to that yet, so.
Well, and I think something for the board to consider too is the approval with and without the awning, because that's an optional feature, correct?
It was to my understanding that you wouldn't approve it without the awning.
That's a question then for, I think it helps not just give the illusion of like a container kind of place by having an awning. I'd be open to having just one instead of both if needed, if that's up to the client. I don't know what.
I think, yeah, it's like a site specific as well. If it's like the direction, like the orientation of it, and if it's a site that it's like filled with like large trees and it's like, there's no like a need for an awning. It depends. It's site specific, so I don't know how we want to
But
point
we're
that
not
out.
approving the orientation.
Yeah, that's the thing. So we're not approving that,
So the
but that's the
question is,
site.
are we okay if there are no awnings?
I would be okay with removal of one of the awnings, but I think that
Same.
the structure needs one of the awnings.
Okay, I agree. Does
Yeah,
anyone-
I agree to
Okay.
have like one of the awnings depending on the site
Okay.
situation.
And I think that the color should be an off-white, and I think it should be added to the pre-approval color, either manufacturer specific or
Or to match that.
to match whatever it is that you choose as a manufacturer. Yeah.
Okay. Board Member Graffiti, any comments?
No, I
Okay.
agree with the board.
All right, I move to approve this project with the following conditions. That the white stucco color be an off-white, and that the applicant provide a specific color. That the applicant provide details of the post and beam construction of the awning, specifying how the open ends will be treated. That the applicant, if possible, lower the awnings to provide more space between the top of the residence and the awning. If it is not possible to lower the awning, the board would approve raising the height 4 inches.
The height of the.
Of the residence, the roof. The board is open to both trellises and/or just one trellis as an option for the ADU. The ADU cannot be placed in the front yard.
I will second that motion.
Okay, we'll take a vote. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Gaffidy?
Yes.
Board Member Moslehi?
Yes.
Board Member Sherry?
Yes.
The motion passes.
Great, thank you.
Good job.
Okay, on to our third ADU, number 104. This is Bonnie Sangster and a proposal for a pre-approval of a 480 square foot detached one-story ADU in 3 variations: a coastal style, arts and crafts style, and contemporary style. Each variation includes an option with or without a covered deck and multiple exterior color options. So welcome and thank you. Yes, and if we can have CCTV at some point, either now or at the end of the presentation, showcase the images on the desk. Oh, they have to go here. Oh, sorry.
Oh, the middle.
Sorry, this is where CCTV can pick them up, or right in front of me. There we go. Okay. Thank you. And I can slide these for the TV. Oh, perfect. And then if at whatever point that you want to reference these, if you'll just make a comment and CCTV can pull them back up, but otherwise if you can go back to the slides, CCTV. Thanks.
My name is Bonnie Sangster Holland, architect, and this is the same footprint and a little bit different of a roof line, but within all of the designs, they're the same. Are we seeing the whole page? Yeah, okay. So before, one of the comments was about the pergola helping to break up the massing of the height. I've actually lowered the plate 8 inches. There had been a lower and a higher option before, but now they're all the same height. And I changed what the transom windows had been up higher, so everything's a little bit lower so that it works both with or without the pergola. And I think that's important just for designs on the site. So there's basically a basic entry and the deck option, and the style really on all of them is, this isn't the whole page, here we go. I would consider the overriding style to be contemporary, but the schemes have sort of an inspiration of these sort of sub-styles, sort of a coastal palette, an arts and crafts palette, and a little more contemporary palette for the exterior colors and materials. And the main request last time was to provide details and colors and materials. This is sort of a hypothetical neighborhood block study. Looking for a zoom. Basically, I have anticipated that these could be mirrored any direction and any orientation. I only want to do one floor plan so I don't have to repeat it like for building plan check, but as needed, I would flip the plan. And these are just showing, in most cases, I would think that the building would be located kind of at a corner location. So 2 sides are sort of the front side and a more open side, and 2 sides are designed with smaller openings to be pushed back against setbacks. I did have a question about the front yard, because on some sites, I think there are instances where this would be fine facing the street. I wouldn't put it in the front setback, but I can see instances where a main house might be way back on a lot, and it would be acceptable. So the floor plan is the same. It's got the loft, which is why the height is what it is. And then the 3 schemes have different pergolas. The roof is at a 7 and 12. When I dropped the plate, I also made the pitch a little bit steeper so that the eaves come down even more. This is the horizontal siding, scheme A, fiber cement trim. The option with the pergola and without, the one without has the higher windows on the front, and a little bit lower for the trellis on the front. So it's a 10-foot plate. The loft is at 7.5. And the different material pergolas, the way I'm thinking about this set is that any option that isn't used would just get deleted. So basically it's one set with everything in it. And then this is starting the fiber cement siding option with trim, and basically 4 pastel colors, white, gray, green, and blue. Blue and green with kind of a weathered wood deck. There's a asphalt shingle roof or a metal standing seam roof, all in the kind of gray tones. Blue. The window detail has a traditional kind of trim. The paving option for the basic entry is just a concrete pad that could be small enough to be counted as a permeable pathway. And the deck is also permeable, so it doesn't add to the stormwater. This would all be under the Tier 1 or Tier A. Just with there's actually a rain barrel in the plans too. The soffits are closed with an aluminum panel. Each of these are very similar on the details, but like this one has a OG gutter, the others vary a little bit in the detailing. Moving on to scheme B, this is the stucco siding. Just very simple, and again, the trellis or no trellis. And the stucco colors are these earth tones, so you can see them here. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, and each one is kind of paired with a colored window and either a gray or a bronze roof. Whether it's shingle or metal, it would be of the gray tones or the bronzy tones. And the stained woods. So there's the blue aluminum clad windows and the dark green. The second two, the green and the red, are the premium darker stucco colors. The first two are the standard lighter, just to help it settle in. And each of these have a different light that kind of goes with the theme. This is the aluminum clad casing used for the window trim. That's part of the windows. Half round gutter. Similar closed-in soffits. This has the stucco going down to the ground below the weep screed. And there's a perforated metal infill on this trellis. And the third scheme is the vertical siding, and it's fiber cement wood look. And each of those shades kind of has a monochromatic gray and gray, but with a little contrast or browns. There's just a little break, horizontal joint. Otherwise, these are panels that come in like 3-foot swaths, and they kind of hang on clips that are all part of a proprietary system. And this has a steel, more contemporary pergola. So that's the light gray. What they call spruce, and a darker bronze, or a medium brown. Samples are there. Getting a little darker. So what they call their bark with a darker ebony window. And these details are their proprietary system, and typically around the windows it's just a metal flashing, very modern kind of clean trim. And the lattice in the pergola is like a prefabricated aluma wood lattice. Otherwise, these are I-beam column and C-channel horizontal. That's everything.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will turn our attention to virtual comment, and I have no hands raised for virtual public comment, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this particular item. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, thank you. And I think just real quickly, if they want to pan back to the samples, and we'll just point to them for the video's sake. Thanks. So these are the plaster options with the associated paint colors, and then the siding options. There we go. Okay, that's probably good, just so that they have reference of it. Okay, are there any comments from the board? I think, or questions? Thank you.
I have a couple. So just so I'm understanding, there's so many options. I just want to make sure that I understand that you have basically an A, B, and C scheme, and they're the different styles. Under each of those main A through C schemes, there's a covered deck and a no deck. And also in each of those schemes, you can do, like, for instance, in the contemporary, you could do a comp shingle roof, or a different kind of roof, or a stucco, or a siding. You can take the roof material and the colors and the siding and interchange those on all three schemes.
I would do that if the board was open to it, but my intention was that within each of these schemes, you would choose, this sheet would serve one kind of collection. It has a gray shingle or a gray standing seam metal roof.
I get it. You're picking colors and materials.
This stays together as a
They
collection.
stay together as a scheme type A, B, or C.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay, I understand. That makes more sense to me. Okay.
No, well, and that's a general comment that we really appreciate, and I think it was very helpful to have because it gives a very clear, both for us and for potential clients of like what's approved and how to use it. And I think the visuals are very helpful, and I think everything's laid out very cleanly while still giving a variety of options, which I think is really helpful for the end user, and then also, of course, the ability for it to match the main residence.
Yeah. And then, so my next question is not really our purview, but you're going to have to then, with the orientation options, you're going to have 4 sets of Title 24 calculations.
You just do the worst case scenario.
Okay.
And if that works, then it works for the rest.
And another not out of our purview, but just thinking ahead, have you run the loft by the building department in terms of the non-compliant stairway or headroom, and they're okay with that?
It's all compliant, yeah.
Okay. No more questions for me.
Okay.
So just to clarify, the options, each of them will be like 4, so 12 options at the end. And it's like fixed. The only thing is like the roof can change. A couple of items that you have mentioned on that sheet. Okay.
That's right.
Okay, and any other comments? No, okay. I agree. No, I think the changes made work well. I think having the 2 options with the awning and the adjustments to the transoms help. And I think the color schemes all work really well. And it also helps to provide, I think, the naming of them, like a kind of somewhat context for potential owners to take a look at what might be good fits for them and to help with the color. So I think it's great, and I don't have any additional comments for them. Same. Okay, so I move to approve all proposed variations of Scheme A, Scheme B, and Scheme C as presented. This project is not allowed in the front
Not
yard,
approved in
not
the-
approved within the front yard. And I will add an additional comment that doesn't need to be a part of the motion, that one of the things we discussed as a board with that is that the likelihood that these do make sense sometimes, and the hope with staff and as project appropriateness is that it might not then get to skip SFDB, but it'd probably go to consent and that kind of understanding. But we do understand that there are cases that it would make sense, but just as a blanket statement, we feel it best to make the pre-approved, not approved in the front yard. So,
I will second that motion.
all right.
Okay, we will take a vote. Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Garfitti,
Yes.
Board Member Moslahi,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry.
Yes.
Motion passes.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank you.
And thank you for the samples.
And honestly, a good takeaway if we do this again, all the materials.
Okay, we will move to our fourth EDU, number 101. This is Godkin Design Build. Proposal for a 590 square foot, one-story ADU with a gable roof in 3 variations: English cottage style, modern farmhouse, and craftsman style. So similar to the rest, it'd be helpful if you go through any comments and how you address them in your design.
Great. Thanks for having me here today. So in the initial presentation, I think the main comments were to, I had a sconce that was kind of floating out there in the wild between a window on the front elevation and the front door. So to clean that up and maybe just orient it related to the front door only. The gable entry porch solution was a little jammed up to the main roof gable, and so lowering that was one comment. And then the window to the right of the front door was at a shorter height or depth than the other window on that elevation, kind of more in the living room area. So sizing that more appropriately to be consistent was another general comment. And then, those were kind of quick, easy fixes. I think then what I was also trying to do in the original proposal was kind of make something that was perhaps just a simple menu of options of sidings and colors and different kinds of front doors, and a prospective client could then just kind of pick from that menu, and it was, a direction by the board to just try to pick a few lanes or styles. And so that's what I've done here that I want to present today, is just kind of organizing our proposal into an English cottage style, modern farmhouse style, and then the bottom one is a craftsman style. So I've done that today. I'd like to just do a quick review now of the floor plan, which has not changed, but just a quick reminder, there's it's basically a studio, like you said, 590 to 600 square foot, depending on if you want to count the water heater shed. And then just a simple U-shaped kitchen, little breakfast nook by the front door, and then the rest is living room / bedroom space. So like I said, that hasn't changed. So just jumping into, it's always the front elevation, front door elevation on the bottom right of those 4 elevation drawings. So this is the English cottage style. And what I tried to focus in on this one to differentiate it from the other 2 were an archtop door, recessed windows and doors, and I'll go to the details page to look at that, and then a gable roof overhang over this is a new thing from the last. I tried to make a little entry foyer, albeit small, but an actual entry foyer, little room that this front door is in. So maybe I'll skip to the details page for this so we can look at those items a little closer. So this is that front door. If I can zoom in here. So I actually, maybe I'll show you in plan first. So here's a little on the bottom left, detail 10 there. Just tried to make a little bit of a entry foyer out of this. And the precedent image for that, sorry, I'm skipping around here now. How do I get to zoom out here?
Sean, if you hit control and then move your mouse wheel.
Uh-huh. Oh, there you go. Thank you, sir. So this was a kind of an inspiration image for me here of an English cottage style. And so obviously, you know, we don't have the scale to do this, and I didn't want to make the roof pitch wildly different from scheme to scheme, but this gable entry foyer, a recessed archtop front door, and a sconce on either side of that I thought was a nice look. So that's kind of what I'm going for if I just go back to this elevation here. And then if I scroll down to the details, I've shown a double 2x6 wall that front door would be in, and so that gives us the opportunity to recess that front door, have a double radius profile around the arch top of the front door, and then the window detail below it. Again, we have a 2x6 wall, so added a 2x4 nailer so that the nail fin could go onto that 2x4 and be recessed, and then either a brick molding or some sort of 2x4, let's say, hardy trim. And any other details here? I think those are kind of the main ones that really differentiate this one. So jumping to my second scheme or style was the more of a modern farmhouse type of look. And so there's the front elevation for that. So no little entry foyer for this one, but a flat tension supported kind of porch front entryway cover. And then just one sconce off to the side of the door, batten board siding, and so kind of clean and simple, I think. Here's some images that go along with that. And then if we want to jump to the details for that, here's a detail showing how the entry door cover works. Doors and windows now are not recessed in this option, but they do have, window and door casing around them. Yeah, the rest of that's pretty straightforward. And then the final style was the Craftsman. And so for this one, I actually went and took some posts down to support a gable front entry porch, front door cover. Try to differentiate this one a little bit. So horizontal woodboard siding, non-recessed windows and doors with trim for this one. And again, going back to our details for that. Excuse me. So I've got a, for the entry porch cover, I've got a post to footing detail, showing how that would be connecting to the foundation and be trimmed out. How the post to the beam would be detailed out with a concealed joist tie. I do not want the fascia to float above there. I apologize, I missed that. That is not an architectural detail I'm trying to have there. I need to lower that down. And that's, I believe the presentation.
All right, thank you. We will move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill out a slip and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will move on to virtual comment. And at this time, I have no hands raised for this particular project, and we did not receive any written correspondence. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, we will start with questions from the board. You want to start?
I have just one question. The water heater mass on the, yeah, I think like the second option, maybe the modern farmhouse one.
Okay.
What's the, like, on the elevation, it's not shown as the, like, consistent with the, like, the board and batten. Is it like the same?
It is,
So
it's
it's
just,
okay.
it's just full of door openings, so I think that's
So
getting
that's
kind
why
of
it's
ruined
not
in the
shown.
model, but yes.
So purpose is like that mass in each option is the same
Yes.
as that.
Yes.
And was there any thought to incorporate that water heated mass like in a closet, so it's not like a bump out?
There was, I just felt like square footage was such a premium, I wanted to just get it outside of there.
Oh, sorry, thank you.
There was some consideration, I didn't push my button. But I just decided with square footage at the premium it is, I'd push it outside of the main rectangle.
Okay.
I had a quick question. Did you consider the possibility that the modern farmhouse could also have the posts at the entryway instead of the cantilevered? Because somebody might want that, and if we just approve I guess what I'm saying is that I wouldn't be opposed to you changing out the entry door awning with both the contemporary and if you could add the post and beam one to the contemporary farmhouse, I think it would be appropriate as a solution. I don't know how the rest of the board feels.
Yeah, I agree. I think there's something about the floating one for the modern farmhouse. I feel like having posts help it, or I'm also open to it having the same kind of gable and shape as the other two.
Yeah.
I was gonna ask the rest of the board members, is it common in the modern, I was not familiar, like, exactly that,
farmhouse
like,
to
is
have
it
that.
like to have, like the flat?
It's
I've
open
seen
for
it.
interpretation.
Yeah, I've seen it, but not in this
It's not
scale.
uncommon.
Okay.
But I think that in this particular instance, I think it would be okay if somebody didn't want the cantilevered awning and they wanted a more of a traditional, that it would still look somewhat contemporary farmhouse to me if you wanted to do the posts. It's kind of a question comment.
Is the board all okay with the awning as a free float, or want to just?
I'm okay with that.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Did you have other questions, board member?
No, just
Okay.
comments.
I'm curious about the colors for the trim and the doors. So maybe we start with each one. So for the English one, the inspiration that you're showing shows trim all the same color as the plaster. It's the white trim, and then it's just the frame of the door and windows themselves. And I think that helps kind of provide that cohesive style instead of having very dark trims on it. So I'm curious what you were thinking there.
Or was I thinking?
No, yeah.
No, that's actually something I hadn't noticed about that image. So it's a point well taken. I think I agree. Perhaps a good revision of this would be that the doors and the windows themselves are that dark color, and the trims are the same as the body of the house.
And then the idea would be that the doors would be either a stained wood or this dark gray or the green. Is that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. And then what are the board's thoughts on the green and the gray?
I wish there were more front door optional colors.
Yeah, I see.
I think it's very olive green. It's kind of a bright olive green.
It looks kind of bright on our screen, and I was trying to figure out what it really looks like, but I wonder if we give a little more range there.
Like a
and-
sage green
Yeah.
to me would be better. Would be more
And I think
applicable.
even potentially going darker for that front door as well, I'd also be open to leaning more into their photo.
And that was actually a comment I was going to make because I think the front elevation should graphically depict the true divided light upper portion, if that's your intention for that front door. That's a pretty expensive front door. But if that's the only one that you're approving, I mean, here we are trying to save people money by creating these pre-approved details. So I've been trying to keep those in mind as we're looking at that, and that door is going to be a expensive door, but I like it. So, but with that arch door and the arch top and the glass, it's going to be quite expensive. So I'd be open to
A solid arch top panel door.
Yeah, and I think that what I was going to say is that I think the front elevation should depict a wood panel front door with maybe even a little door that you peek through to see who's there. That would be a smaller window that doesn't have an arch top would be, to me, very much in keeping with that English cottage, or just solid without the true divided light. But I think that the front elevation should not be just white. It should depict a wood plank that's painted, or the wood plank with a little window within the door. That makes sense.
I agree.
And the color, I think, should be more muted.
Then the green. Yeah, I agree.
Yeah.
And darker for the,
Or even
blacks and
I'm
gray.
open to the applicant including different options for the front door, different contrasting but complementary colors that would offset the front door to the rest of the trim that would be appropriate.
Board Member
to-
Sherry, one of the things that might be helpful for us is to indicate what those colors might be, because they're not going to come back to the
Yeah, I
board.
know.
And so if we give some specific,
Muted sage green and maybe even a muted gray blue.
yeah, Santa Barbara blue.
Yeah. And you could even, I mean, those are the ones that come to mind for me. I mean, you could also do a
Same.
red, like you could also get by with maybe a brick red
A warm red, warm brick red,
might be appropriate. Those would be the colors that I would say that would,
and or black.
or black, yeah.
Okay.
Like
I
a
think those
very
four
dark
options
charcoal.
are good.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, and dark charcoal. Okay. Any other comments from the board? For the English style? And then I might move us to
I
the
had
mod-
one, I think it's another one, a little typo, is that when you see the detail of that shows the double furred wall in plan view, you showed the door inset, but it's not symmetrical. I think it's a typo. In plan, right there, that detail. On one side, you show the door a smaller dimension, and you
Oh,
show
yeah.
the outside wall a little wider, which makes sense to me. And then on the other side of the jamb, the right-hand jamb facing the door, you show it equal. I think just a little thing you might want to fix. That was the one thing I noticed.
Okay. So now for the modern farmhouse, I'm just summarizing our comments so far. Would be about the option for the front awning to match the craftsman style awning. For that one, we'd want to specify that the color match the siding and trim, if they use the craftsman awning in that version.
Yes.
Okay. Okay, so I think it might be appropriate for us to also talk about the trim colors for this option as well. So again, in your example photo showing the white trim around the windows and doors in your siding photo, but then specify this like dark trim, but are you open to that being white to match the board and batten?
Absolutely.
Okay. And then I'm curious the board's thoughts on the yellow and or the gray that's being shown in the front door picture and other variations of colors that would be appropriate for the modern farmhouse aesthetic.
I think that I think the yellow is probably not going to be something that a lot of people want. That's just my first impression of that yellow. I would definitely, like a brick red would be an
Yeah.
appropriate color, a charcoal gray, like you've shown the paint trim in that one example, a dark gray blue, or a dark sage or olive green.
I agree with those. Are we okay approving the yellow, or we want to leave it off? I'm okay with it. I agree that it's not I think it's nice to provide variety of options for them. Okay.
And I think just, if you don't mind me, since we're on that page, I'm trying to expedite that front elevation. This kind of goes along with something that was brought up about the intent being everything board and bat, but that the bulk of that one water heater elevation was taken up by door. So just same kind of applies for this front elevation. I would carry the board and bat below the cantilevered
Yeah.
awning. That's, I think, just a drafting issue. Sorry.
No, I agree, and I think one of the things that would be super nice, but maybe not easily accommodating, you can kind of see, is how best the trim depths can start to align with them, and that we're open to the windows adjusting slightly to align with the board and batten. I would be, I don't know about.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And just to tag on to that comment, the boards, you're going to, at the plate height, where you're showing that dashed line at the plate, you're going to end up with a change. Your boards are only going to be so tall. So I think that that a trim piece that can hide the transition between the two pieces of board that you're going to end up with, just by the nature of the materials and the sizes that are available, I think there should be a horizontal piece that comes across at that plate to hide that. I mean, I think that's going to be an easier way to handle that detail. I have seen it where people have been able to hide it and do longer boards, custom milled boards, or it's just always an issue when you have a board and bat that extends vertical above the plate line and you don't have a belly band, you're always going to end up with something like that.
Yeah.
This is a question, but the door on the back elevation for the farmhouse, is that showing as a panel or glass?
It's not glass.
Okay.
Not glass.
Okay. Okay, any other comments from the board for the modern farmhouse?
I just saw on the elevation that for that front door, there are tension member support for awnings. And any material here? Yeah, for the tension.
For the tension members, I was just thinking a metal.
Okay. You okay with us specifying that to be black?
Sure.
Okay.
And how does the other board members think about the exterior sconce that is proposed for the modern do you guys think that there should be other options or?
Yeah, I
we
think
are
that it
good?
could be stainless steel or the black.
Oh.
I wonder if it comes in different variations. Do you know, does your hooded sconce come in other colors?
It does.
Okay,
Yes, it does.
okay. Is the board open? Okay.
So black or?
Or,
is that-
yeah, are you okay with that?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay, so now we'll go to the craftsman. And I think it's typical in craftsman to have the trim painted a different color. So I think in this one, if that's the intent, it could be. I think oftentimes this might be an option that the clients select and then match the existing colors on their house. Oftentimes, I don't know that with craftsmen, that you get such a dark trim with the white walls. But I'm curious the board's thoughts on that.
There's so many different ways.
I
to
know,
do
I
these
know,
colors
and I almost
that
want
it's-
variations.
It's really hard to cover everything.
I know, I think hopefully the intent with this is that they are matching colors on their residence. And so the question is that
Yeah.
if they're not, then what's the most streamlined for it?
Well, certainly the white on white
Yeah.
works.
Yes.
And certainly the white trim with the field color works. It's very standard. Yeah, you typically would, so I would say that those two, either white trim with a darker
Field.
field color or white on white. But you wouldn't typically see a super dark trim color and with white.
So I wonder if we want to give a color variation for the field that would help staff of a neutral brown,
Or maybe just,
or we just say the white on white, otherwise we
you
say,
just say the white on white because there's so many different combinations.
right, and then otherwise they're matching what's there, and then you could always come,
It's existing.
Okay.
It makes it easy.
I think so.
Some of these are going to come back to staff when the applicants come in and they're going to say, I really want a green door.
Yeah,
And then you're going to have to deal with it. But at least for now, we're
Right.
approving something that we know works.
I agree. Are there other comments?
So we're saying white on white?
Right.
And white, or white trim with a darker field color.
So we're not doing reverse?
But we're not doing
yeah.
reverse right
Yeah.
now because
Yeah.
it makes it hard. Because sometimes it's appropriate and sometimes it works, but it's really specific.
For that field, I want us to be a little more specific on what variations of a darker field we approve so that it's easy for staff. Like a darker neutral color or a darker,
That, but then if you look at the center photo
Yeah.
with the really dark
Yeah.
gray and the white trim, that works really well.
isn't that neutral?
That's a neutral, yeah. Unless a neutral darker color or match existing.
Right.
Yeah. that's
Yeah.
fine.
Okay. Okay, cool. Any other comments from the
I just had
board?
one question about the beams at the covered porch.
Yeah.
Are they extending beyond the fascia and you're seat cutting the fascia, or does the fascia stand proud and the eaves are set back?
I'm seat cutting the fascia, excuse me.
So, and they're, because, do you have a detail of that?
Oops.
That's that detail that has the typo in it that you're going to fix. So
Yes.
make sure it's clear that in that condition where you drop that fascia down, and then you
needs to
have
come
the
out.
beam beyond, show that intent.
Yes.
If it doesn't come out too far, it would be okay without a copper cap, maybe. If it comes out too far, it's a problem for moisture infiltration, but, yeah. I like the beam extension, it adds three-dimensionality. It's just pick one. And then if you're going to chamfer the end of that beam, show that on your drawing, or, you know, whatever that's going to be, just add that to that detail 5.
I have one last comment on the like a front elevation, the location of the exterior lighting.
I know, I was trying to
Yeah,
decide.
in relationship to the, if you go to sheet.
So is it centered right now between the door and the
Yeah.
window? Is that what's happening?
But like, it's like with the structure of the awning, like post and beam, like, I don't know, the location of it, like.
I think it's okay because the structure's beyond it. And
So from
it makes
angle,
sense that when you
yeah.
approach the front door, that the light fixture would be centered between those
Center.
two.
Yeah, okay. Just wanted to ask others' opinions.
Okay, I will move to approve the proposed ADU with the following conditions. For design variation A, which is the English cottage style, the door and window trims to be white or match existing. The proposed door and window colors to be wood stain, a muted sage green, muted Santa Barbara blue, warm brick red, dark charcoal, black, or match existing. The front door can have smaller amount of glass or no glass. Provide updated detail of the front foyer door plan, profile, and location of door. Not approved in the front yard. For the modern farmhouse style, the awning can match the Craftsman awning as an option. The trim for the doors and windows to match the field white. The front or the doors and windows can be dark gray blue, dark sage, warm brick red, dark charcoal, or black, or match existing residence. The board recommends and is open to adjusting sizes of doors and windows to align with board and batten.
Actually, I think that we should approve, sorry to
Yeah, yeah.
I'm going to make a comment after you're done with that.
It's okay, you can interject.
To be completely informal here, I think that rather than approve different sizes, that there should be a note on the drawings to contractor to consult with designer on spacing, alignment of doors and windows relative to the board and batten. That's
Okay.
that's a standard
Standard thing.
comment that we put on
Yeah.
our drawings now.
Part of the
Because-
issue is it's not currently drawn even that way, so I think that needs to be
So-
updated for staff to review.
I think that
The
the
design
intent, the design intent is for the board and bat to be laid out symmetrically with the doors and windows.
Yeah,
However,
yeah.
that's best accomplished.
So, did you get that last part? I think is what we want to say is that the intent for the board and batten is to align consistently with the doors and windows.
Symmetrically and,
Symmetrically.
and consistently with the doors and windows.
Okay, the exterior sconce can be stainless steel or black. Provide detail of trim needed to hide transition with board and batten. Awning support to be black. Not approved for the front yard. And then for the craftsman style. Yeah, okay. The window and door trim to be white, warm white. The siding, the field of siding to be white or a darker neutral color. Provide detail of the awning structure. Not approved in front yard.
I'll second that motion, but under discussion, I have a couple of questions. I think that, I think I heard you say that the sconce could be black or stainless steel. I think that a stainless steel light fixture is going to cost,
I prefer black, so.
I mean, it could be galvanized metal, but stainless steel, you're never going to find it, and it's going to cost $1 million. So just maybe metal, galvanized metal or black, if
I'm
if
okay
you're
with
okay with
that.
that. And then I thought I heard you on the second motion say that the window material itself could be red? I was,
Oh, sorry, that's for the door. Thank you.
I
Front
think you
door.
said windows and doors, and I think and I would
Thank
prefer
you.
to only see
I
brick red
agree.
at doors.
Thank you. Yes, thank you. All those colors listed for the modern farmhouse are for the front door. The windows are to be black or dark charcoal. Ish. Or just black.
Or white.
Or white.
I mean, black is, yeah, black would be okay. Yeah.
Up for discussion, the trim on the cottage one, English cottage, could be some of those other colors on the English, but not the actual. And so I just want to make sure I called that out right. Okay, so the colors we listed in the English cottage are for the front door. And then I will add in the English cottage that the trim of the windows could either be the muted sage green, muted Santa Barbara blue, or white.
Yeah.
Okay.
Good luck with that.
I know, sorry, we've got one more comment from the board.
Yeah, so on the modern farmhouse, so we are approving the field color to be only white
Correct.
or match the existing house?
All of them are allowed to match the
So
existing house.
if it matches the existing house, then the trim, for example, if the existing house is black, it's like a
They
dark
have to also
purple.
match whatever trims on the main house if
So
they're
yeah,
matching.
that was like one thing,
It's
like,
implied
Yeah,
with the approvals.
so
correct.
it's not that like they will do, match the
pick one,
existing house
correct.
and then like the trim will be white. Like we don't
Correct.
want that contrast in
Yeah.
the modern one.
Correct.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If they're matching from the main house, they're matching the whole color scheme from the main house.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Which means if they already have done something that doesn't look that
weird.
good, like we're allowing them to do it again.
That's okay. All right, should we take a roll call?
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Moslahi,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry.
Yes,
Motion passes.
All right, thank you.
Thank you.
looks good.
Thank you.
Gonna take a big chug of water and then run to number 5. Okay, we're on to ADU number 96, Yakov Design. Proposal for a pre-approval of a 735 square foot ADU with a gable roof in 2 variations, traditional style and Spanish style. Welcome. As a part of it, it would be helpful if you explain anything that has changed, any comments we made previously. If you made changes to satisfy comments from another board, that is also helpful to hear in your presentation. So, thanks.
Hi. So I work for Yakovan Design, and then I'm going to go over the changes. We received approval from both boards, but I'll go over some of the changes that we have done to kind of specify, because I think he presented last time with you guys. Okay. So I'll kind of.
Would you mind stating your name for the record?
Oh, my name is Jeff.
Jeff. Okay, thanks.
So the first things, we lowered the ceiling height to 8 feet. It used to be 9 feet. We also removed the window on the elevation C, and we added a skylight for the bathroom. We also added another skylight for the living room, which you can see on the roof plan. We also adjusted the window sizes, and we adjusted the door heights and window heights to be 6'8". I believe there were 7'8" for some reason. We removed the transom on the door. There used to be a transom above that door. We added muddins for the windows for the Spanish design. Oh, sorry, this is just option 1. And then we added renderings so you guys can see the different changes of how the styles were affected by the. We did a horizontal board and batten, and then we also did a vertical board and batten. I think that's all for right now.
Okay, thank you. We'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. If anyone wishes to make a comment on this, they may fill out a slip and bring it to me. I see no one in the audience moving to do so, so we will move on to virtual public comment. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for this project. We did not receive any written correspondence, so at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, thank you. We will start with questions from the board.
Can you bring up your material palette page?
Yeah, Ted, I only have this one PDF open. Is there other ones?
That should have everything in it combined if you scroll all the way down, hopefully.
There are renderings at the bottom, but there's not a material palette page.
I can get that for you. Hang on.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, and I also don't have the other renderings.
Yeah, I don't see the siding, and that's one of the ones we'd like to look at as well.
Because these images that we're looking at right now don't pertain to this project, correct?
Well,
Okay.
it does. So this has two options, a traditional style and a Spanish style.
Oh, it is in this item.
And
Okay.
so we'll look at both, but I would like to see images for both the proposed shingle roof and the siding, because the siding doesn't look graphically like a typical horizontal. So
Yeah.
right, so I'd like to look at what's proposed for that.
I'll have to grab those separately.
Are there any other questions that we want to ask while they're finding this drawing?
I have a few.
Yeah.
Can you just go to the renderings and stop for a minute? Because that was a good way for me to absorb what was going on, because they weren't really. So that's the Spanish style version.
Yes, correct.
Of one of the, and then can you scroll down to the next one? And what's the intent, or do you have a detail of the underfloor ventilation that looks like it almost looks like a scupper detail,
there
but it's
was-
not. I know it's not. I hope it's not.
No,
Or is
no.
that lighting? What is that that's sticking out this
No,
way?
It's a rendering error.
Oh,
That-
got it. Okay. These down
little
here.
like yeah, you caught that. It's a rendering like it's
They're
coming
not
out.
supposed to be there.
No.
Okay.
Yeah, that
Okay, because
just
you've got
these things, right?
Go to the
Yes,
go to the
correct.
one above that. Just scroll back up. It's right at the floor level, so you wouldn't have anything there.
yeah. No.
Okay, good. And do you have a detail page?
Yeah.
And I'm looking for an eave detail.
For the roof?
Yeah, the Spanish style.
I remember seeing this. It was like a mechanical system that they use. It was on the roof.
It's on sheet S1. It's detail top left.
You've got the tile rolled into the fascia. That needs to be kind of resolved.
They have an eave detail on page 12.
They have this.
Is that,
Like, I think, like,
Oh, that's a
the
different
sheet name
detail.
is S1.0.
that's just the structure though.
Yeah, that
Yeah,
was the structure.
yeah.
I-
So
But
they have a
page 12,
typical, yeah.
So you see these square vents right here? These were like the ventilation for the roof, or are you at, what was
you
your
wanted
question?
to see the underside
Oh,
of
the
your
underside.
fascia, yeah.
Detail for the Spanish
And if
style
you go to page
design.
12, I only see the one for your traditional, and so we're looking for a
But
similar
if you
one
go to
for
the
that.
rendering again, if you don't have one, you can go to the rendering, you see what I'm talking about here. I'm looking for a detail that kind of illustrates that condition with the rolled tile going in, and that's something you can add. I was just wondering if you had it. And then,
Something like this? This?
No, the top,
eave, the top, at the roof.
Oh, the roof, okay. No, I don't think we,
And do you have a door and window details?
Okay, I think this is the right thing here. What's for option 2?
That's still missing the renderings of the traditional option.
We can put that in our motion.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm not sure what happened there. We had a.
So what you just showed is very simplified material board, just like
Yeah,
that
but
one
will you
page.
go back to it so we can
And
look at
then-
it?
Yeah.
That's a 2-piece mission clay tile.
For the roof?
Yeah,
We can specify that, and I think we should.
it's a 2-piece. And then, sorry, back to your detail page where your door
Oh,
and
yeah.
window details.
So, I believe they added some. No, they do. They have some window details and then.
That's just
That's just this-
waterproofing.
yeah.
Waterproofing. No, I don't think we have them.
Okay. And can you go to the rendering of that's the non-Spanish rendering?
They don't have
We
it.
see the
They
design
don't have
intent?
I
it.
had it.
Oh, you don't have it.
No, I do have it. I'm
It's
not.
not part of this, though,
Oh.
right? You went through all these pages?
No, it's not like in
Yeah.
this package.
So I think Ted is looking to see where it is.
No, but not part of
But
this.
if you can at least show us through the building materials page, I think that would be
Yeah.
helpful.
So, I guess you can imagine one being the siding would be board and batten vertically, and then one of the siding being horizontally as well.
You're showing two. And then which elevations would have the board and batten?
So
Yeah.
there was one iteration where it was the entire building, and then there was another one where it was half of the building. So it would be this front face where the door is at, and then wrapping around on the right. So there was one rendering like that.
And what do you mean by wrapping around?
So it would only be I guess if you're looking at the building, it would be the north side and then the east side.
So it would have on two elevations
Yeah,
there.
two
Okay.
Can we see the elevations?
That's the thing, Ted, the elevations don't match. There's no board and batten shown on an elevation. This is kind of hard for us to review and note. I feel like we're looking at the wrong package.
It is like a
Actually, Lewis, I
shingle.
apologize. I think there might have been a mix-up
Okay.
when we moved the files to Teams. A couple of options. We
yeah.
could take a quick recess, and I could see what's going on and try to remedy that in the hearing, or
Well, just go back to the elevations for a minute. I mean, we could take.
Well, I
a-
want to hear the other options here
Or we
because I
could-
feel like,
we could table this item, move on to the next one, and I could work behind the scenes to.
I think I would recommend that only because if we're going to approve and make all of our comments, I'd rather us know what we're looking at and package it all
Yeah,
together.
this was supposed to be a different, different
Drawing
document in
set,
here,
okay.
yeah.
So we'll move, and I apologize, Jeff, but this way they'll try and find the right drawings and we can take a look at them, but we'll move ahead to item 6.
Okay.
And then we'll come back.
Okay.
Okay. Thank you. So item 6 is also yours, though.
Yes.
And hopefully we have those drawings, and if
Sure,
not.
Lewis, why don't we move to item 7?
Okay.
Because these two sets
Are
are
all
somewhat
kind of
related. So
together,
let
okay.
me figure
Okay,
that
thank
out.
you. Okay,
Thank
we
you.
will move to item 7, which is number 105. This is the Itsy House proposal for a 250 square foot, one-story detached ADU with a gable roof in 4 different variations: Craftsman, Spanish. Oh, sorry, that's error. 2 variations of the 250, Craftsman and Spanish, and then a 400 square foot ADU in 2 variations, Spanish and Craftsman. So, welcome.
Hi. Thanks, ladies,
and-
for
yeah.
having a long day volunteering. We appreciate what you do. Oh, am I on? Oh,
You
there we
are.
go.
Thank you.
Do we want to begin by seeing the items from the last visit?
Yes, whether you want to share them and or just highlight any of the changes that occurred from the feedback
Okay.
would be helpful.
Sure, no problem. So again, my name is Lucrezia De Leon, and I'm here on behalf with Itsy House, Custom Home AI, AMA Assets, and BIMQuote and Builders Capital. And we are partnered with providing some designs for pre-approved ADU templates that we can provide at entry-level housing. Portion of the housing will be factory built, while the remaining will be finished on site in order to decrease cost. Okay, so the items that we discussed last time included, and then I'll go over what was discussed over at ABR and HLC, kind of make that a little bit easier too. It was to, actually, do we have the minutes from the, just to make it easier? Because I remember last time I forgot one or two items and I didn't want to miss anything.
Joni, if
Sorry.
you could switch to my screen.
If that's okay. Don't mean to be add any extra work.
All right.
Okay, great. Great. So the Craftsman styles and options A and D provide specific color options and front door options. The board prefers the divided light windows. The board prefers all siding be the same color, and the board layout for the siding middle rendering for page A3.1. We'll see that when I updated the renderings, just to make it as simple as possible, we just stayed with one siding option.
Would you mind going over them instead of going through the list?
Yeah.
Can you go over them on the drawings as you're going over it? So we don't have to memorize the list and.
Sure.
Yeah, the only issue is we're going to switch back and forth
That's
screens.
my like
Oh.
concern.
But
Okay.
is there any way that that can be opened on her screen and she can go back and
I
forth?
can do that. Yeah, I can go over on mine and then we'll
I think
keep
he
that
has it
list up. Would
saved
that
on
be
the
okay?
computer. No, because we
Oh,
want to
okay.
see it on here. So
Okay.
he's going to open it for you and then you can switch between the tabs.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I can do that. That's fine.
And then going item by item would be helpful.
I wasn't here for it. Okay.
So you're, let's
I don't remember
Thank you,
this
Tim.
one. I wasn't here.
I think I wasn't here. Thank you very much. Okay, great. So, perfect. Let's go over one at a time. All right. A and D provide specific color options and front door options. Okay. So, let's go down to the color materials board. Oh, there we go. All right. So, that's what we did. So, we kept it as simple as possible. Now, I will say that HLC preferred, let me pull up my comment here. Let's go up. Sorry. Here we go. They want me to update the Spanish roofing style to a two-piece option. So I will be doing that. Beyond that, the traditional Spanish stucco weave screed, the hardy boarding siding that we chose, the colors to match the existing residence were all accepted. Okay, and then also here's our front door option and our two light options, one for Craftsman and one for Spanish Colonial. Do you want me to go to the next item? Okay. Oh, I should add, these keynotes also talk about on the siding for the windows. I know the rendering kind of makes it a little hard to decipher. We can do the matte black or the Santa Barbara blue were requested in the last meeting, which we'll probably see here in a moment. Okay, so for the Craftsman styles A and D, specific color options for front door, which we just looked at. Keeping it very simple, very traditional. Okay. All right, the board prefers the divided light items, and that was in reference to Craftsman, and it's hard to see in the rendering, so I'll pull up the elevations. One sec here. But they are divided lights. Okay. Okay, the board prefers the all siding to be the same color and prefers the board layout for the siding of the middle rendering on age 3.1 to match the elevation on A 1.3. So in our last rendition, when I came here, I had the option where we had board and batten above the porch, you may recall, and then vertical siding the siding. So we just made it one siding to make that simple. One option. The rendering kind of did a weird thing here, but it's all the way across here. You ready for the next item? Okay. Board's open to vertical or horizontal siding. We just looked at that. Okay. For the Spanish colonial style, the board recommends corbels at the entry arch and smoothing out the arches on the side of the porch. Okay, so we added corbels on the front and on the sides removed the archways, which I'll scroll out to in a second, so that they're not arched and they're squared out, which was a comment, by the way, for ABR and HLC as well. So I will say, so here we are. The arches are removed and it's squared out. We have the corbels in the front. Both ABR and HLC, after seeing it with the corbels, requested that I actually go back to an ellipse archway and then maintain the squared entries on the side. So if that's something that you prefer as well, just let me know. Sometimes you have to see it, right? Okay. All right, so board recommends options for the doors and windows to be either pearl chase blue or black and are open to seeing variations of the blue. So that's what I was just saying. The rendering is a little odd. You can't see the blue so much here because of the lighting that it came out. But we have keynotes here for options to be the pearl chase blue or the matte black. Okay. All right. The board appreciates that the bevel's still in the plaster. We have those still in all of our renderings and elevations. Okay. And provide lighting options consistent with the style. And the patio material was not actually added on the rendering, and that keynote did not get in there, so I have to add that on there. I'm so sorry about that. That's something, but here are our lighting options, and I need to add that keynote for the patio material, but it would be permeable. And that is it.
All right, thank you. We'll open to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project. However, if anyone wishes to make a comment, they may fill one out and bring it to me. There's no one in the audience to do so, so we will move on to virtual comment. And at this time, there are no hands raised for virtual comment, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this item. So at that, I'll turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Okay, thanks. We'll start with questions. One of them, I just see one picture of a siding, but are there siding and trim color variation options?
Nothing specified beyond matching the existing residence. If you want me to add some, I'm happy to.
Okay. Side and trim. Okay, but then for the Spanish, it would be the creamy white plaster.
Yeah, Santa Barbara
Okay.
white. La Habra.
Okay. And then I guess more of a comment, but I am open and agree to the arch. I think the corbels work if it's kind of like a flat top, but the corbel with the arch, it's kind of doing a little too much. I'm curious, were there any other comments about the craftsman style, especially like the columns from HLC?
Actually, yes. So HLC originally had me match columns to the Craftsman Bungalow District. And then after seeing them, I'm going to be expanding those columns. Right now they're 12 inches to 16 inches width.
Got it, okay.
And, yeah, sorry.
Oh, no, anything else? No?
The columns on the Spanish are also going to be extended to the width of 16 inches.
Okay.
Wait, I'm confused. You're saying that the plaster walls that support the softened arch at the front entryway there is going to be 16 inches, and it's going to be the same dimension as the columns of the bungalow style?
They want them both to be 16 inches in thickness, correct? So this area on the bottom in the Craftsman,
Oh, that
Actually,
area.
will you zoom in actually to the front elevation on the Craftsman? I think it's a little bit better than the rendering for us to specify here.
there you
Yeah,
go.
there. So which part is 16 inches?
Right here.
The
on
width of
bottom.
that? Okay. Okay. And what is it drawn as now? Do you know?
Yeah, it's 1 foot.
Oh, got it. Okay.
Yeah.
So those will beef up.
And just to be ahead of it, these little notches here, this is a rendering.
Brackets.
Rendering, it came out a little odd when it PDF'd, so ignore those. We're not icicles.
Okay. So they'll be a little beefier.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, and corrected, yeah.
Okay.
Do you want me to go back to the color and materials board, or?
Any other questions from the board?
Yeah, I have a
Yeah.
few about this, actually. If you, I'm not understanding the, it's much easier to read the elevation, by the way, so thank you for that.
Yeah, of course.
Is the material of the base of those columns plaster?
Correct.
And then when you get to the top of that column, and you see the fascia board that captures, what's the little jog in
This?
Yeah.
So this is just a gutter that moved, it looks like, this is a rendering error in short. So there is a gutter that moved when they moved that. This is something I already talked to the director
And funny
about.
enough, that's not on my drawing. So the part that was downloaded here, it's correct.
I think it's just a PDF
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah, it's not,
Yeah, I think it's just.
I didn't understand it. Now I understand it on your
Yeah.
Right,
drawing.
right. So I think it's the way the PDF is viewing.
So just a comment about that drawing is when you're adding that little corbel detail, it's, you're going to want a bigger drawing of how that works together.
Oh, yeah, we are adding the details in the structural set. We're just waiting for all planning comments to complete, so that
Yeah, I know, but
structurals,
it is an architectural feature, which is why I'm bringing it up. So we can't continue it and ask for it, but that interface between that corbel detail and how it meets the horizontal trim at the top of the column is very specific to Craftsman style detailing. So that was one of my questions, actually, because it's going to be important to get that right. And I have a few more questions, if it's
No,
okay.
please, yeah. Yeah, of
On
course.
that drawing, you have a different depth of a window than you do on the Spanish one. Is there a reason why you made the window higher?
I'm sorry, which one are you referring to?
The window to the right of the front door. Like that
This
window
one?
is higher on the Craftsman than it is on the Spanish.
Let me see, 'cause they have different trim styles, but they
No,
should
the
be the
the
same.
Like the
window
height
is-
of them
Oh,
is
yeah,
different.
just to have a different, interesting look to it. That was just the intention.
Is that the living room in the inside?
Yes.
Yeah, I would lower that sill if it were me, but that's kind of a comment instead of a question, so
Sure.
I'll save that. So,
So you're saying, you're just saying lower the sill height and make the
Make the
window
window
longer.
yeah,
Correct.
make the
Okay.
window deeper, or, taller.
Okay.
And
On the
then,
Craftsman? Okay.
But that's a question, that's a comment, I'm in questions, and then,
Or do you prefer the one that was on the Spanish colonial?
huh?
Are you saying you preferred
The
the
bigger
height?
window
Okay, great.
is
5 by
great.
5, yeah, okay.
And the front door of the I guess it was the rendering, the front door had like 12 true divided lights and a half light. And I don't think, if you go to your renderings, I just wanted to make sure that the other front door, that one, are there really that many true divided lights in that door?
It's Lumion just added a little extra lighting on the bottom.
No, the interesting thing is your elevation in the Spanish style doesn't show any divided lights on the door. It shows a solid panel door.
The lights did not show up on the PDF here. So if you want me to add the lights in the Spanish Colonial, I'm happy to do that.
I think there's too many. Like the rendering has like 12 true divided lights on a half light window. So I wouldn't have
You
that
like
many
that you prefer
lights.
the solid corridor on the Spanish Colonial.
I just think that there were too many true
Yeah.
divided lights.
Okay.
But again, that's a comment and not a
No, that's great. This
question.
is all wonderful. Thank you.
But I'm out of sequence here. And the front door, we talked about that one, the true divided lights. And then the eave detail, the eave detail of the Spanish style. Do you have that? Where's that eave detail?
The details are all on the structural sheets that are coming in. I don't have that right now.
Oh.
But I'm happy to provide that for you if you'd like.
Yeah, because it's an architectural.
Yeah, because one of the things that it's showing right now is that the tile will just like stop at the face of the wall. And so the question is the intent for them to extend past similar to how the Craftsman is showing, or is the intent that it stops so close?
It's meeting at the end of the building. That was actually a comment from ABR on our first round. So we adjusted the roof to match the building. But yes, that eave detail, I'm happy to send that over for you guys to see for review.
Well, and ultimately it'll
Verification.
be staff that reviews it, so we just want to make sure our comments are clear enough, because, and sorry, board member, I'll say Sherry. But is there like a plaster, it's hard with the rendering versus what we're looking at in the elevations.
of course.
But what's the intent with the sort of potential fascia board there with the red tile roof on the Spanish? Like, what are we looking at there?
I'm sorry, I'm not understanding the
Okay.
question.
You're showing like almost, it looks like a white edge here.
Oh,
And what's
that's
the
just
standard
a
of here?
rendering. We're
Okay.
just having Lumion did a weird thing there
Okay.
at the end. The tile goes right to the end, just how, we'll have to Photoshop that and fix
Okay.
that. Yeah.
So that piece of
There's no
wood-
trim. Yeah.
There's no trim up there.
Right.
It's going to be a rolled tile.
Correct.
At the eave.
Right. Two piece.
And then there's not going to be any overhangs on any part of the building.
Not in the Spanish Colonial. That was an ABR request. Now, if there's something that you want to do differently with SFDB for Spanish Colonial, then we can do just a different set and make some adjustments.
I think we want to work with the boards and make it seamless.
I love that idea.
More questions, thanks.
Okay.
Thank
Any
you.
other
Good,
questions?
good observations. Thank you.
Just one question, continuing board, Sherry, comment about the entry door of the Spanish one. So like there's a image, like it's called out number 9, the keynote number 9. So is that the intent for the, number 9 is like for the Spanish one? So is that the
Correct.
intent?
It is, but if you have something else you'd rather do, we're open to suggestions.
But we don't have like a call out or for the Craftsman style, like a door.
We were just going to actually emulate the same, just a very simple solid core, but we're adding the side lights for the Craftsman.
Okay. That was my only question.
For comments, I am open to whether it's a solid or having divided lights on the front door. It's just a matter of like the right number. I think it was just a rendering error that had so many. You'd want to
Yes.
match the sizing of the ones on
It's
the windows.
supposed to be 6 on here, yeah.
Yeah. I'd be curious from the board if we want to list descriptions of colors for the craftsman. Personally, I don't love this peachy tan with the white tan, but us being able to kind of call out variations for trim. And, you know, I've got my list here of what we did for another craftsman, if we want to kind of pull from there. But the other thing is it feels like the plaster wants to be different than the color of the column above it. And that's giving kind of a weird visual to me right now.
Yeah, it does.
And that all the trim wants to be the same, where right now you're seeing like a
For
dark
us to
color.
get into, like, so we don't have trim options to look at here. So I think that needs to just be something that staff reviews with, maybe it has to be reviewed. I mean, it's hard for us we're going to end up with a
Say most of the
gigantic motion of all the options of
Yeah.
trims.
And most of the time, it has to match the existing single-family residence.
Well,
So that's
this
a-
concept
yeah.
right now is that it doesn't. Now, we could make it for this one that it has to, and that otherwise it comes to SFDB if it doesn't. But otherwise, it'd be nice to be able to provide certain colors. And part of the issue right now is what we're seeing that is the same color feels off, and there's no proposed colors to approve, which I think that's a general comment for this and the previous ones. It's missing a level of details that are required for that final approval, and so now we're putting a lot back on staff, and it's not as easy to just go, yeah, where there are other ones where it was very clearly laid out, and we could say, yes, this is great, match that. So there's just something for us learning moving forward, that some of the specific architectural details that are kind of needed from the get-go that now staff need to review, and specific colors. So I'm looking for some staff direction on what's the best way for us to approve materials here and provide direction to staff.
If you can get close to, describing a range like you did with previous items, that's fine. Staff can look at that.
Well, what you're asking, excuse me for asking this, is you're asking us to come up with a narrative that describes the finishes on a project that we're not going to see again and doesn't have enough information for us to approve. That's the hard part.
You don't have to. You can deny,
We don't recommend denial, though,
you could recommend denial.
but we don't want to.
Okay. If you don't want to recommend denial, then you can approve basically as shown on the plans, or provide a few kind of general options.
I think, okay, it sounds like what one of the options is to say that the colors of the craftsman are to match the existing residence. And leave it at that. And that way, if it doesn't, it has to come to SFDB for review because there was no palette proposed here.
The plans wouldn't come back to SFDB for review unless,
It then wouldn't match a design. There are no colors
Right.
to pick from. So we either need to come up with colors right now, which feels outside of our realm for this, and the colors that are visibly shown here are not correct, and there are no labeled colors for the
Right.
craftsman style.
yeah, we do anticipate that there's some room for interpretation when staff are going to be looking at these to match the existing residents.
Yeah, that we're okay with.
Okay.
And so that we want to make as a part of the approval is matching the existing residence. It's outside of that if it doesn't match. Unfortunately, there are no colors indicated, and so then there's right now no option other than matching the
You
existing
could
residence.
condition this to match the existing residents only
Okay.
instead of as shown on plans.
And that was my understanding upon submittal, was that was a requirement, is
Got
that
it.
we had to.
It's not a requirement as a part of these pre-approved ADUs, but I think for this one, especially because the colors can range so much with craftsmen, that might be the best route for this one. And then I think we can approve specific colors for the Spanish one, because that I think would help How's the board feel about that?
Yeah, I think it's just hard because we don't have a complete application and we don't want to deny it, but we can't give it an approval, so.
May I interject, Chair Lewis and board members? So again, part of this pre-approved design program is to look at what you have before you. We've kind of, we're not giving it 4 or 5 chances to come back to the board because we're trying to, again, streamline this. It's just going through this step. This isn't the last opportunity, so I just want to, I'm kind of particular about wording that you're making recommendations to staff, so all of the recommendations with conditions. So you might not recommend a particular design or a particular option, but that doesn't mean that they can't reapply when we reopen this program next year. So that's still an option. So there are some designs that didn't have enough information or that needed to be reworked by other boards and commissions. I'm not talking about this particular applicant, but they just didn't make it. And so the applicant will have the option to resubmit at, a later time. So this isn't a one-shot only
No, that's
kind of
helpful
situation.
because I think
So
that
it's
leaves
more
us
just
to
that-
match existing, and if they ever want to come back later, they can come up with a new package with colors, and we don't have to sit here and come up with colors for them.
Right, and I think, again, if you feel like you don't have enough information, then you're not obligated to recommend it. It's really based on the majority recommending to staff. And if you do have conditions, what Mr. Hamilton-Roll was saying is that we just need them to be really objective, very specific, so that, again, this is anyone, zoning design review staff checking to make sure that the design is, that it's easy to tell, oh, yes or no, anyone off the street could kind of gauge whether or not that makes sense. So that's kind of the level of specificity. So it's up to you all if you feel like you have enough information, but you're not obligated. And I just want to let anyone know that it's not their last chance. It's the last chance for this 2024, but there will be other
Okay.
opportunities for feedback if there's something that's
Okay,
not working.
That's helpful because I think one of the things that I would have liked to see here in this one is taking the feedback you received from HLC, updating it and us getting to see that updated version. And the one thing that I'm wrestling with here is that the details for the craftsmen are significantly lacking. And so we're making a lot of assumptions that they're going to be done correctly. And I wonder if it's open to our board to decide approving the Spanish and not currently approving the craftsmen.
But
Or
even the
providing
Spanish,
specific-
like the one comment I haven't made yet, because we haven't gotten to comments yet, is that I don't, there's certain comments that I have about the Spanish design too. I just think that it's unfortunate that this applicant made it this far and to the point of coming to a hearing and being asked for us to give an approval or a denial recommendation, but we don't have all the material. Like, I think that's unfortunate for her.
Yeah.
And that's what I don't think is fair, that she's gotten this far, and
this
she's
forms
not going to
staff
get
conversations,
included
so,
in a whole year after she's gone through several reviews and 2 reviews with us, and now we're being kind of forced to approve or deny when she maybe wasn't given enough direction on making sure that all the previous board's comments were incorporated when she came to us. Like, that's the hard part.
Just, sorry, one comment. The thing that we requested that we're missing here, in order for us to approve any project, is a level of details that they're just not here. And so that's where we're wrestling.
And if I may make one other comment. So this is kind of, we're all guinea pigs in this. The SFDB, the HLC, the ABR are guinea pigs in reviewing this program for the first time. Our applicants, unfortunately, are guinea pigs with experiencing this. We tried to come up with a system that, again, I just want to be really clear that this applicant wasn't required to incorporate HLC and ABR's comments for this board.
We're not asking that the comment, I think we would have liked to, because I think
Absolutely,
it would
that
have
makes
helped
sense.
us. But I think separate from that, what it's missing, and I almost want to zoom in, if you go to your elevation, on the front elevation for the Spanish colonial, you've got a gutter sticking out to nowhere. Like, there are just things that aren't refined and figured out. And so we are approving something hoping that these get figured out, and they're just not drawn. And so I think our board would be open to her being able to develop these details and coming back to our board, but I know that your goal is to streamline this as approved or not approved, and that's what we're wrestling with.
Right. So I think that we will certainly take this as comments for kind of improvements kind of next round, but I think the decision before you is kind of whether or not you feel like capable of recommending a design or feeling like you have enough information. Again, we've seen both. I've seen a board say we don't have enough information at this time, but again, gave helpful comments so that this applicant an applicant could come back at a later date, or as part of another round of as kind of a separate application process. Or that there's just enough information, or you feel that you can make this.
Another question for staff. Just even if we don't approve it, if another board is approved, they still could meet their area, correct?
That's essentially, yes, we
Okay.
could, it would be allowed in that particular area.
These were approved with conditions for both ABR and HLC.
Yeah, the problem is we're trying to figure out how long of a list of conditions
Yeah.
are we comfortable with, and how much more burden does that put on staff instead of putting it back on the board to get to see it.
Yeah, and it was on Thursday that we had HLC, so there's not,
Got it, okay.
yeah, so,
Yeah, and part of it, what we had said at the last review with all the ADUs, and like I said, this is all new for all of us, but when we approve any project, it goes through project design approval and then final. And when we
course.
do final approval, there's a level of detailing that we expect to see, and we wanted to see that for all the ADUs in order to give it general, because we are never going to see it again. And right now, we're having to take a big leap of faith that those details are going to be executed. And I think that's up to our board deciding what level of that are we comfortable with or not.
makes sense.
So are there other comments from the board?
Okay. Are we in comments? Or are we
Still
done with comments? I'll just make a comment that I think we spent so much time trying to figure out if we can make a motion, then maybe we should just try to make a motion to approve this. And we could try to make it, I think there's a way to fabricate it to where it puts a lot of work on staff, but I kind of feel like they deserve it.
No.
No,
But we'll try our best
Sorry,
to be very
Ellen.
specific here, and I think that that's good. And if you want to take a look at my notes while you make a motion, I think, yeah.
You can make it and I can add.
Do you have any other comments?
No.
Since you made detailed notes and I only,
Okay.
Thank you.
I think it would be better if you made the motion and
you
then
add
I
to
can
it?
add to it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I move to approve the project with the following conditions. For the craftsman style, that the material finishes match the existing residence. That the siding and trim be detailed at corner conditions, eaves, columns, brackets, to follow the craftsman style. That the width of the door trim match the width of the window trim. That the front window sill be lowered. Board prefers it to match the sill of the Spanish style. The board agrees with the comments from HLC to widen the plaster base of the columns to 12 to 16 inches. The board recommends a contrast between the window trim and windows and doors and siding to be consistent with the craftsman style. Before I move on, are there additional comments we want to add to the craftsman motion?
I just had one comment about when you said that the board agrees with the HLC's comment about widening the base. I think that the base was really wide, and it was in the revised. Can you go, if you go to the elevation? I don't know. There were two different drawings. That's part of this problem.
I know, yeah.
So I don't think we were asking them to widen the base on this drawing, right?
This is drawn at 12 inches, correct?
And so is the other, both the 250 and the 400 square foot. The front columns are, the tricky thing is that they're both at 1 foot, but on the side here, it was 9 inches. They want both being
Correct.
16 inches.
I think that the comment should read that the base should be
Squared.
square,
Yeah.
and it should be in keeping with the proportions of traditional craftsman detailing.
I agree. So if we can adjust the comment that had the HLC note in there to say the plaster bases of the porch columns are to be square in plan, and the proportion to match traditional craftsman style. And for the detailing to be updated in all elevations. And a quick pause here for a question, but what are we seeing here in this drop down? There's like, is that an error or just a
some lines. I'm not sure what the it's just different.
pulling wrong from? Okay.
I'll write a little note. I'm not seeing it on my PDF set. I'm not sure what's
Okay.
in there.
The Board Member Sherry, I'm trying to figure out how to specify the detailing for this needs to be worked out and figured out in all of this, but what direction do we want to
I
give?
think it could be the same comment that we made, because without this being a novel of emotion, I think it should be that the
In that general comment of all the things.
the details of the entire covered porch of the craftsman option should match traditional detailing and proportion for the craftsman style.
Okay.
I mean, the comment that you made about the base could be the same. It could be not just the base, it could be all of the detailing at the roof, the roof, the posts, and the base detailing for the covered porch should all match traditional proportions and detailing for the craftsman style. It could cover all of those. I'm trying to.
Okay, we'll move for the motion for the Spanish style. That the divided lights in the windows are approved. The front door can be solid paneled or with half divided lights. Divided lights to be proportional to the door. The roof, sorry, let me wait. The roof to be two-piece mission tile and to provide eave and edge detailing. The windows and front door. The windows can be the Santa Barbara blue and or black. The front door to be stained wood or Santa Barbara blue. Board recommends simplifying the profile of the front porch to remove the corbels, do a simple arched opening that matches traditional Spanish detailing. Provide specific material for the permeable paving. For the patio, board recommends a terracotta color. The plaster to be a smooth, creamy white. Sorry, I'm looking for my Spanish elevations. Yeah, anything else? To provide gutter details and downspouts.
Right now we are.
Board recommends copper. What other color was there Spanish? Or white to match the plaster.
Copper or white?
Do you want me to second?
Yeah, anything else? Or second?
I'll second the motion, and under discussion, I have a couple of questions for the maker of the motion, and that is, did you say black windows on Spanish?
Like a dark bronze or black?
Yeah, like a dark bronze.
Yeah.
I would not say black.
Thank you. Okay.
And,
Oh, sorry. Or white.
white
Yeah.
or bronze color,
Right.
but it could also be, let's read the finished schedule, it could also be
The Santa Barbara blue.
Board Member
Yeah.
Sherry, could you turn on your mic, please?
Thanks.
it could be the Santa Barbara blue.
Santa Barbara blue. Mhm.
Bronze or white.
Correct.
There's also that muted green.
Yeah.
Santa Barbara green.
Yeah.
I don't know if we even call it that.
Yeah,
but,
I don't know what to call it, but
a muted
I know what you're talking
sage
about.
green.
yeah.
And I had another comment that, if it's okay, that the corbel detail transition between the softened arch and the vertical face of the plaster on the Spanish design be simplified.
Yeah, the recommendation from HLC was to remove the corbel altogether and just soften and do a rolled arch. I'm open to a corbel,
fine,
but it
but
needs to provide a proper Spanish
Yeah,
detail, and
like
that's not, so.
My recommendation was it would look is that it would look better with a corbel transition.
I agree.
And that the corbel transition, if you're following me, the board, what, did you already make the comment?
Yeah, actually, will you read back the comment that we had about the porch, because I think we'll revise it, about the curved opening, removing of the corbel.
Okay, the comment currently says, board recommends simplifying in front of the porch to remove the corbels that match traditional Spanish detailing.
So maybe instead of removing, just that the arch and or corbel be revised to match traditional Spanish detailing. Board member Sherry, what do you think?
The softened arch transition to the vertical face could be a corbel in keeping with traditional Spanish detailing.
Yeah, I think the thing is that she needs to actually detail it, and then staff needs to review that it's a traditional detail.
I think you got it.
Okay.
But I just would prefer there to be that detail instead of no detail at all. And then I had, tell me what you think about this. If we add some comments that would be comments in general that apply to both the Spanish proposal and the Craftsman proposal, it would be that kind of apply to the drawings in general, would be the following comments. This, in general, the applicant is to remove the renderings from the proposal unless they are corrected to accurately reflect the proposed design, because they're confusing. Don't say that part, but it's really confusing. And then that in both the Spanish and the Craftsman design, that all detailing should reflect traditional detailing for both styles. And provide color and material boards for both styles. And the fourth comment would be to correct all of the drafting inconsistencies for both, just in general.
Yeah, and then a comment for both that I recall missing is that they are not approved for the front yard.
Right.
And I have a quick question that should have asked earlier, but what is the underside material for the Spanish style? You know, in the rendering, you see almost, I think that this is wrong, the red tile continuing, but then what's going to be under on the roof?
Sorry.
Like the ceiling of the porch?
It's just going to be exposed.
Plaster? Wood beams, okay.
So, and then this right here, this area right here, this is just a rendering. So one through.
Got it. Okay.
On each, I'll see on Thursday.
Got it. Okay. Okay.
But we can do plaster if that's.
Yeah,
No,
no, I already seconded that with those comments, if it's okay with the maker of the motion.
I agree. We'll take a roll call.
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. So did we get our drawings resolved for items 5 and 6?
Yes.
Do I need to restate for the record the description for 5? Okay. Thanks. Oh, but what about item 5? Or are we starting with 6? Oh, actually, yeah, let's take a 4-minute break. 5-minute, I guess we can be 5. I don't know why I said 4. And we'll be back on. Thank you. Oh, no, we won't. We're missing. Where we left off was wanting to see the traditional style variation and the different options there. So great, I see we've got it here. So we've got horizontal siding. And do we have that also in a drawing, or is it just in this rendering?
Just in the rendering.
Okay, so if you can zoom in a little bit more. Okay. And if you want to walk us through any of the materials we're looking at and any other variations of this traditional. Oh, yeah, just once, when it turns bright. Yeah, there you go.
I was doing it too fast. So it's white board and batten, and this would be either white board and batten or matching existing. And then there was also, we'll just talk about this one, and then there was also a vertical siding that I will show on my iPad to you guys.
Real quick though, what you're showing us looks like a traditional, like like where it like overlays on the
Yes.
siding.
Correct.
Where board and batten is
Oh,
like.
sorry, this one's board and batten, sorry. I
Oh,
kept
okay,
on saying
okay.
that, I'm
Got
sorry.
it. That's okay.
I'm
Okay.
sorry.
So is the idea that it's angled on top, or
Mm-hmm.
is it that it's like flat with like little recesses in it?
What
Looking at
I'm aware of, that they're laying over top each
Oh,
other.
okay,
Yeah.
okay. Traditional
Shiplap.
shiplap. Okay,
Sorry.
great. Okay, on all sides
Mm-hmm.
in this one. Okay, and then do you have any color variations for the trim and the siding?
No, we just have white on
Okay.
this one.
So white on white with a stained door.
Correct.
Okay. And now the next one.
The Spanish one?
No, your next traditional, the board and batten.
Yeah. So this one we have on the iPad.
Okay.
Just
Yeah,
that.
we'll have, if CCTV can pick this up. I like your cover that it's a paper.
Yeah, it's like a for
Yeah.
your pencil.
Okay, let's see if we can get it without the glare. There we go. Here we go. I'll move this. Okay, so
Can you turn it?
I will then turn it to us. So this is, oh wait, oh, you mean this way? Oh my goodness. Wow. Okay, long day here. Can't wait for the people to get to watch this. Okay, so now, thank you, CCTV.
Okay.
Okay, so this is vertical all sides.
So this one's on, well, it was supposed to be on just that one
Okay, so
side.
just this one.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the rest is plaster.
Correct.
To match the same, sorry. Moved over here. The rest is plastered to match the board and batten color.
Yes.
Okay, and then what happens on the edge corner where that transition happens?
We would have to provide a
A
detail,
detail for that one, okay. But otherwise, the material color palette stays the same for all of these traditional?
Yes.
Okay, great. And then, are there different, switch back to my mic, lighting options for these? Or do you have a page that shows those?
We do not have
Okay.
a one, but we were instructed to have wrought iron
Wrought
lighting
iron, okay.
from HLC. Yeah.
Did they recommend something, especially as we're looking here, it feels like it leans on that mid-century style. Did they say like a time period that they recommended?
I remember, if I remember, post World War II, if
Okay.
I remember.
Because I do agree with that, of making sure that the time period kind of works with what the style is for these, for the lighting. Okay. Great. So next was the Spanish style variation for us to double check and take a look at what we're looking at there. Okay. And the rendering makes it look like a very peachy pink for the tile, but it's a traditional tile. Okay. And then same with the lighting here, you're looking at the wrought iron in a sort of Spanish style.
Yes.
Okay. And then the piece that we see at the bottom, that's just a rendering.
Rendering,
There.
right.
Okay. So can you bring us back to the drawings? Oop. I wonder if that's the first tab.
Sorry. My mouse is glitching.
Oh, got it. Okay. So I think it's a touch screen if that helps at all.
Oh, it doesn't? Okay.
No?
No.
Maybe?
Oh,
Okay.
yeah, it is,
Oh,
actually. That helps.
okay.
I did not know that.
So the last I recall, we were looking for the eave detail for both options, door and window details. So it sounds like similar to what we've done for some others, and this is kind of more of a comment for the board. We can specify that we want those details to be appropriate for the style. And then
Are
the,
we in comments?
yeah.
Comments and questions?
Yes, we're hybriding right now, if we're okay with that.
Oh, do you want me to make one?
Yes, yeah, sorry, thanks.
Gonna make a comment.
It's been a
Getting
day.
tired.
I just came back, okay.
So, I mean, my overall comment about if you pull up the rendering of the Spanish style, and I don't know what we said before, one of my questions was, what did we say about the Spanish style before? And I don't know what we said.
Yeah, do we have those comments on the July 15th minutes on the last tab, if you don't mind going there?
It was the flat. Oh, no, maybe that was the other.
So, which item were
They
you?
were the first, weren't they?
I don't, there we go. Okay, so, but go up, because I think there were a few and they were all separated. Is that a lie? Oh, that's a lie. Okay, so keep, okay, here. So yeah, if you keep going down, so for the plate height reduced to 8 feet, which you said you did reduce.
We did.
Return with appropriate details, which we don't have, but we'll specify. The downspouts, those appear to be removed. Is that on the Spanish style? Are they there?
I think that was a different item because that was the flat roof with the
Oh,
Spanish. There were two
because you have a
Spanish.
different one.
There was
Okay,
the
will you go
flat-
back to the minutes then? I think we're looking at the wrong
That was
one.
my questions. Are we not looking at a flat roof option?
We are.
That's
Separate,
the
that's
next one.
item
That's
6, yeah.
So I'll just make this comment relative to
Okay.
the pitched roof
Mm-hmm.
and the Spanish style version. Is
Okay.
I don't think it works. I don't think that the massing of. I don't think the massing of this, the way the roof is treated at the pop-out, and I don't think it's reflective of Spanish style at all, and I don't think that we should approve this version of it. I think it's okay for the board and the cottage style
Yeah.
or whatever that is, but I don't think
Post-war
that
style, yeah.
it works better on the cottage style with the shiplap siding, but the massing is not consistent with Spanish style, and I think it's forcing it. And so I would not.
I'm in support of that.
I would not approve that.
Okay,
I would also agree.
And aside from that, we don't have the eve detail anyway.
correct.
So, so I also would comment that on the siding, that I would not be in support of the siding being on one side only. I think that the siding should be on the entire building. And then I had a question about, there was one drawing, I saw that because we're flipping around, but there was one drawing that had headers at different heights and the transom, and where's that drawing?
The transoms were a previous one,
Yeah,
that's not
previous
this.
one. Yeah, it's not on the, maybe you're referencing
no,
this
this,
image?
yeah.
Yeah,
This
can you-
image was from the first,
Is that what we're looking at, or is that what we're looking at?
So-
no, there's no transom anymore. There's.
This is
yeah.
just to show us what the board and bat
Yeah.
looks like. They don't have an updated rendering. But it sounds like, so this is the design, but with a variation.
Okay.
There's just no transom anymore.
Okay.
And a question, can we go to the floor plan that reflects this
Yes.
rendering? I mean, I'm thinking, as I go through these, what's coming up for me is that if I'm looking at these and I'm thinking about using this and as a pre-approved drawing, my first question to myself is, why is there not a window facing the front in the bathroom?
I know.
And so not only do I think that the front elevation looks too plain without it, but as somebody that's going to be living in this, why is there not a window in the bathroom? So I would recommend that a window be added to the bathroom.
We originally had one, and on this you can kind of see, and they removed it. Maybe it's all the way to the front. Yeah.
But you had it on the side here.
Yeah, we had it on the side, and then we
Okay.
removed it via other board meetings.
Didn't like it on
We
the
didn't
side.
like a window on
Yes.
facing the front.
No, it's on the side,
From
it
the
wasn't on the
side.
front.
From the
Oh,
side.
okay. Well, my recommendation would be
Yeah,
that
we can add
there
it.
be that there should be a window on the front elevation in the bathroom to not only break up the plain facade, but also to provide light and air to the bathroom. And the other comment, like I said, was about the siding being consistent on all sides and not approval of the Spanish style for this particular roof plan.
Yeah, and I think when you look to do the window, oh no, that's the side. You're going to be limited because you're doing it above the toilet, and I think it'll be important to look at the style and like this genre that you've kind of categorized it of being this post-war bungalow is really looking at that style and what's a window that's appropriate there to help with the front.
Okay.
And then your window, you're looking at black. Are these metal or aluminum?
Aluminum.
Aluminum, okay. Okay, any other comments?
I agree with board member Sherry. I guess that'd be my only
No, that's
comment.
helpful. Yeah, that's good. Okay, so the board does not approve the Spanish style variation. The board approves the traditional style variation with the following comments. That the siding and/or board and batten be consistent on all elevations. That the lighting be appropriate to the post-war era of the style. And that the material for the siding and trim be a warm white or match the existing residence. It's not approved in the front yard. And that a window be added on the front elevation to provide ventilation to the bathroom and architectural detailing on the front elevation. The board recommends that the design be appropriate to the post-war era style.
I will second that motion.
Under discussion, I would encourage the applicant, and I would not be opposed to the applicant increasing the height of the living room window. Not the header height, but
Bring the sill
the
down.
overall height of the window, so that lowering the sill of that, because it looks, to me, it just appears a little claustrophobic when you're sitting in there, but it's maybe.
I'm open to a lowered sill. So the board is open to the window sills lowering to increase
to like
the overall
a 30
height
inch above finished floor or something
to
like
30
that.
inch above finished floor.
And to clarify, is that just for the front window?
Yeah,
Okay.
the living room window.
I
Go
will
back to the
accept
floor
those
plan, sorry, just
amendments.
for reference. Yeah, okay. All right, we can do a roll call.
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
Yes.
Board Member Sherry,
Yes.
motion passes.
Okay, we will move to our last item, number 6, which is ADU number 97, also with Yakov Design. I'm sorry, this is a proposal for a 497 square foot, 1-story ADU with a flat parapet roof in a Spanish style.
Okay. So back again for your code design. I'll be showing the changes that were made for this ADU. The windows were changed on this one and recessed. Muttons were added to the windows, adjusted ceiling height to 8 feet. We were we adjusted trellis members to be a little bit more proportional to the ADU. And that is all. We added new renderings for this one to kind of emphasize the Spanish design. It's not the this is the one. And that was all.
All right, thank you. We'll move to public comment.
Thank you, Chair Lewis. I'll start with in-person public comment. At this time, I do not have any slips for this particular project, and there is no one in the audience to make a comment, so we will move on to virtual public comment. And at this time, I do not have any hands raised for this project, and we did not receive any written correspondence for this project. So at that, I will turn it back over to you, Chair Lewis.
Thank you. Okay, so we'll start with questions from the board. One that I see right now, is that a scupper coming out on the side? It's like an
Yes.
opening, yeah, okay.
Mm-hmm.
Can you show us those on elevation?
Yes.
And what is the intended material and our opening shape for those?
I remember it was galvanized steel. And then they asked to be maybe painted accordingly.
Okay. And then I saw in the rendering you're showing these angled brackets at the corner of the trellis, but I didn't see those in the elevations. I don't think that they're needed, and so I'm wondering what the design intent is.
I remember they were telling us to kind of add like members to kind of convey like the Spanish. You're talking about the trellis, right?
I'm talking about the trellis, and if you go to the rendering,
This one?
yeah, it's not very common. So typically what you'll have is you wouldn't have these two angled ones on the corner, especially these like alternating, but you'd have maybe another hint at a board at this same thickness. And right now you only kind of have one, and there's not another heavy board coming in the opposite direction. And so normally you'll either kind of have those crisscross each other, and then you have the smaller members on top. But I think that needs a little bit of studying.
Yeah, they also mentioned this could be freestanding instead of hung, but then I think there was an issue with a trellis being freestanding from the building, but that's probably like another
Like
thing.
a code issue?
Yeah. So there was also at the different bracing would be also adding columns on each of the sides.
Okay.
But there was that comment too from
From HLC.
ABR.
Can we hear the comments from HLC?
I think that would be helpful for this one in particular. That would
Sure.
be a staff question.
I think it was
we can
ABR.
pull them up. Oh, okay.
Sorry, my mic wasn't on, because they've already reviewed this and given comments, and we're not seeing that. It's redundant. Like, what we're doing is,
Yeah, because there was this was kind of changed in their mind as well. So adding columns at least in those two sides, or having freestanding trellis.
Okay.
But then I think we run into that code compliance thing of a freestanding
Tony,
trellis.
if you switch the screens.
this is not HLC, this is ABR.
This is ABR. I also have the minutes for HLC.
Okay. So that the parapet height increased to a level of constructability to allow for the proper slope. So for this first one, that's something that's not been addressed yet in your drawings, correct?
So originally it was 10.6. We reduced it according to the different meetings, but now they want to raise it a little bit more to allow that slope for
Which
the.
would be to what?
Would be, I'm trying to think. So it's right now it's at 8. We would increase it to the height of the ceiling height to 8.6, and then the overall height of the parapet would be 10.6. So about 18 inches, they said. I think it was 18 inches.
So it would raise 18 inches than what we're seeing here.
Correct. Yeah, for that parapet to have good water dissipation.
Okay. Refinement of the wood trellis be made by removing the knee braces, great, that's what I just said, and make it more Spanish colonial revival by setting it back from the adjacent wall planes. We agree. The tile be eliminated from the parapet cap and the parapet be expressed by a minimum of 18 inches. Can you summarize what that means?
So what I got from that was the caps. So you can see in the renderings, you won't. They wanted us to remove the top caps on the edges and have like a stucco.
And just plaster
Yeah.
around, so there'd be no tile.
No tile.
This is an interesting comment for us to kind of relay back to staff, is we're almost asked to approve something or not approve that's contradictory to what another one is. And so I think it'll be interesting as we look to future years of how we kind of streamline and look, because if they're answering one comment, but then we're looking at something that's totally different and not. So that's kind of an aside, but does that mean then we're either saying what we think about these caps or not? And the height.
The single-family design board should comment on design that they think would be appropriate for their purview.
Okay. Okay. Backyard only. The swing hinge single door should provide weather protection using a shed roof with Spanish style roofing material. Will you show us?
Yes, back
that
here.
And what do they describe for this shed roof?
Just like kind of like an angled weather protection like roof. I have an idea of what that looks like, but for you guys, just kind of I would describe it as like almost like a 45-degree angled roof with terracotta
on the top.
Yeah, on the top.
Tiles. Okay.
Yes.
And then what are the comments from HLC?
Same thing. They wanted the weather proofing for this one, for that door. And then the trellis would be updated to kind of that same comment about the knee braces and the Spanish revival, kind of look into that. And then they mentioned to maybe be freestanding, but I don't think that would work because of code.
What were their comments about the cap?
The cap, they wanted the same thing as well.
They want no red tile?
No red tile. Yeah.
And Chair Lewis, I have the
You can
HLC
maybe
minutes here
see
on
the
screen
minutes
if you
instead.
like.
Can you remind me, what's the height on this?
So
map?
this one is going to be, I think, 9 feet, 9.6. And
9.6, okay.
the original one was 10.6.
Yeah, but now what you've just said is the 9.6 needs to increase to meet
Yes.
another board back up to 10.6.
We can get up to 10 feet, which would, if we keep this one, 18 inches, what they said. So it would be like 10 feet. We can get it like 10 to 10.6.
HLC wants the tile cap, by the way, just to further confuse things.
They
Yeah.
do.
Yeah, I just
Oh.
read
So,
it.
yeah, so yeah, if you can show us the minutes from HLC.
It's right there.
Oh, thanks. Sorry, I was looking at the screen. Okay.
Oh, I guess
So
like
they removed the front door. What
they
is? what
didn't
does that
want the
mean?
door.
They don't want a door at all?
That door that you saw with the
Yeah.
covered roof, they didn't want it.
What do they want instead?
Nothing
No door. How do you get in?
from the side.
So they want to change what your entrance is. So sorry, real quick, if we can flip back to your drawings and look at the floor plan.
Sorry.
So they want to change, or this rendering
would
is
be the
fine. That's your front
entrance.
door.
This would be the
Okay.
front door.
And then can we also look at the floor plan? Okay. I'm not opposed to that. It gives you more surface as you're coming in. It gives you kind of a front porch feel. And then it kind of eliminates this idea of needing a separate weatherproofing awning. But now these are totally different things.
I think we should
Orientations, exactly. That was the
Yeah.
comment.
I think we should probably just stop thinking about the other board's comments right now.
I think it's important. Sorry, I'm sorry. I think it's very important
I know.
because we need to relate to them. So let's go back to the HLC, to the next one. Sorry, that's up here. Change the sliding doors to a single fixed and one opposite side operable door to operate as the front door.
That's
Single
if they
fixed.
removed.
So if you remove the back, instead of having sliding doors, they want one
fixed.
regular door.
Yeah.
Okay, doors should be slid down and aligned with the hinges of the current door that will be removed. They want it on the side. Interesting. Okay, add a post in the center of the trellis along the long span. Post should be 6 by 6. Remove the base of the post. Keep the tile cap. The color should be from the approved EPV style guide or match the main house. Okay, that's the cap specific to the trellis column or post. Select the light fixture from any approved Spanish style. ADU should be in the backyard, works in any, okay. So they actually don't make any comment about removing the tile cap. Okay. So let's go back to your rendering. You know, this is the interesting thing back towards staff. If they make all the adjustments for either one of these boards, we're now looking at a different project. And so I guess we'll just, from this time, if we've got additional questions, I think it's okay if these be a hybrid of questions and comments. For the sake of this, I think if they remove the current front door and turn this into a front elevation, I do think that that door wants to be different than this other side door to distinguish that it's the front door. But that's not the design we're looking at right now, and I feel like that's quite a jump to show.
I think the whole purpose of that area is there's like a lounge area outside. So to have that double as a front door doesn't really make any sense.
I'm going to kind of show you.
Yeah, the floor plan would
a
also be
site
helpful again.
plan, so you can kind of see why there was a door. So this would be
Yeah.
the entry door.
Okay, will you go to the floor plan?
Yeah.
And did they say why they don't want that to be your front entry? No, okay, great. And that's okay, I see what you're struggling. The front elevation, I also want to look at again. Okay. Yeah, I think right now, a few general comments. One, the divided lights need to be studied for these front windows. They all want to be the same proportion, which is that sort of vertical rectangle, where right now they alternate between these little skinny and divided. You know, I think it's set up to some metric in your Revit model. And they kind of alternate here on the south elevation, and the ones up above what I think is the kitchen or something, like they all need to be appropriate proportions. But I do think part of what the issue is right now is it doesn't feel like a front door. And so I think the awning helps. I think a light fixture, something helps it read as a front door, which I think you're starting to show here in your elevation, or I mean in your rendering, but not in your elevation. And there's some inconsistency there. I think one option is a awning with one side light rather than two. You know, it's an ADU. It doesn't need quite the formality of some of these other front doors. But I think if you remove that and change it all around, it's a different thing. It also starts, when you look at your floor plan, how you're using that patio and circulation starts to change when you make that the front door. And so I don't know, that's a question back to staff and usability, but I think the front door where it is fine, but it needs more development. I'm curious the rest of the board's thoughts.
I think that it being an ADU, I think that the door is fine to not have the celebration that we would normally ask of a residence, and it needs a light by code anyway. And I agree with your comments about the true divided lights on all the windows, and especially on the north elevation, that is, and especially the proportion of the window in the bathroom. That's not at all Spanish. And I'm not opposed to a window there, but a horizontal ribbon window in a Spanish style with that breakup is not appropriate. And what is if you don't mind questions and comments, Chair Lewis, what's the light fixture proposed for the exterior?
Wrought iron.
Huh?
Wrought iron.
I understand, but where is it on the drawings?
It would be on that rendering. This, you're talking about these lights?
That's the light? That's the one you're proposing?
Yes.
Okay. I would make a comment that a specification with a more accurate design for the light fixture be
For staff.
submitted and provided in the drawings, and that the trellis framing member sizes be appropriate to traditional Spanish trellis framing, especially the depth of the beam and possible decrease of that depth by adding a center post and offsetting the trellis from the exterior face of the adjacent wall. That I'd also say that that the knee bracing might be easier from a structural standpoint to include it, but that the knee bracing should be symmetrical on both sides of the post. That would require a beam extending back in line with the front beam, and that the post be a minimum of 6 inches, 6 by 6 minimum. Those are my comments. And the beam end, I think, needs to be detailed appropriately for traditional Spanish design beam ends.
Yeah, and as a general note for that, where you see the detail right now where it comes over like this, you typically want like a 1.5 feet from this end here, some amount of distance. And right now your post is right on the edge. And so you want to look at that extension.
I had one question on the drawings. If you go to the exterior elevations and zoom in on the roof, either the north or the west. If you zoom in on the roof, I'm not understanding that corbel detail
Yeah, you're showing just on the
at the
edge
top.
here.
What is that? What are those details?
That corbel detail got removed, so it's not even there anymore.
So we're not looking at a correct set of drawings.
No, they are, but this little corbel detail got removed from
Another board.
another one, so that's why there was, I think the renderings for this one was right here, see, on this one?
So,
They're removed. They're
Are we
removed.
looking
but we're looking at a set of drawings that shows them.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah, no, that was like a correction that we We removed them.
So you updated it in the rendering, but not in your elevations yet?
Exactly, yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
Can you go to the rendering of the
I don't
front-
have any more
front
comments.
door? Sorry.
No, go ahead. Go ahead.
Rendering of which door?
The front door, that side, that elevation.
You want to see the elevations?
We'll
Or
go
just,
back
no,
where you
just
wrote
that,
them
yeah.
down.
Sorry, I don't use the right terminology all the time. I don't know, I'm really struggling. I'm thinking about the feedback from the other boards and trying to understand why they made that front door comment. And I think looking at the other side, that definitely seems like a friendlier entrance, even though that's not the intention in the way that the structure is broken up. Looking at this and factoring in all the comments that we're making and like an eave over it, the panes, the size of the window, the capping, the trellis, it's challenging because I feel like this is a lot. And my personal opinion is I also don't love just this one block rectangular wall for an entrance, even though it is an ADU. So I'm just really struggling at this point to be able to make all of the findings of all these corrections and conditions that we're putting in the motion. And I'm just trying to picture everything that we're changing and considering, and it feels like a lot at this point.
Yeah, will you go back to the view for the courtyard? Yeah. Yeah,
Or do you want the other angle?
yeah, the other angle. Yeah, the one thing, so I could see this ADU being two versions, especially when you're looking at the way that it's cited and, you know, the suggestion that you have cited. It's almost like, okay, if someone were living here and they want their own private outdoor space, and if that's the case, then you do want the entrance to that to be oriented differently. I can also see this where it's like a little pool house and a guest house where it's like the same kind of family, and then you want it rotated where that is your front. And I wonder if we propose, you know, that there's two variations. I agree with the struggle with having the front door on the other side is we're mentally suggesting a lot that then needs to be studied, which is what makes it probably why HLC decided to just suggest removing it and only focus on this variation. And then there could be a later study that comes to us that really looks at that other elevation if it's important to have an entry on the other side. The other thing I struggle with here, though, is everything HLC suggested for what becomes of the front door needs additional study and look at it. And I think from this standpoint, if this were the front, you know, and you eliminate the other door, what are our thoughts there? And now it's a different project. You know,
My thoughts are that in a lot of these projects, and this one's no exception, I don't see enough light
Yeah.
and air in general. And I think it's because the applicants are wanting to make sure that their designs are attractive to people that are going to have different orientations. So they are limiting the amount of light that they would normally put in. So, but in this particular case, I'm not, like, I think that this project has a lot more detailing that needs to be worked out, that's more important than whether or not a door on the side of the living room is appropriate or not, or how you use the ADU or where the front door is. I think that that's less important. I think that the trellis is, and the detailing is the traditional detailing of the trellis is, in my opinion, the big issue here. And all the other things are kind of incidental and secondary.
a staff question, if there's an ADU and they want to add a trellis later, how does that trellis get approved, or is it done non-permitted?
If the trellis requires a building permit, which I believe all of them do, except for like the little entry trellises, you know, along the lot line, then it would just go through the normal building permit process. If it needs design review because it's in the Hillside Design District, or because of one of the other design review triggers, then it would either be an administrative review or it would probably go to consent.
Okay, because one recommendation for us is to approve it without a trellis. And that, I recommend that there is a trellis there, but the design that we have here needs a lot of work. And if they ever want to add a trellis,
Well, I think that the trellis really adds to this design.
I know.
And so it's similar to what we've been up against, and why this meeting is so long
I
is
know.
because we're wanting to move these projects along that have been through so much, but there's so much work to be done. And in this particular case, I would be okay making a motion, if you wouldn't mind entertaining a motion, and that would be that the board recommends approval of this design to staff with the following comments, that the trellis be, the details and proportions of the trellis to match traditional Spanish detailing and proportions for framing members, framing member sizes, I should say, beam overhang and beam end detail, and the post size should be a minimum of 6 by 6. And the beam depth be reduced by adding an intermediate post on the outside elevation. This is another comment I'm going to make about the trellis, that it be offset slightly from the adjacent wall of the ADU. Be inset, I should say inset.
for both walls.
From both walls, yeah, exactly. And that the window proportions and proposed true divided lights on the north elevation reflect traditional Spanish style proportions and detailing. And that the drawings be resubmitted to reflect elimination of all inconsistencies.
That a specific light fixture be
Yeah.
submitted.
I was going to let that go, but yeah.
No,
I think
well,
that-
and I also recommend that it fit the simple
Yeah.
mission style.
So that a proposed light fixture should be selected and submitted that reflects a simple wrought iron, traditional Spanish style light fixture.
Do you want to make a comment about these drainage things?
Yeah, you were reading my mind. I think that a detail needs, provide a detail for the proposed scupper that is in keeping with traditional Spanish style scuppers and conductor heads.
This is a co-motion.
And overall, that all exterior detailing be appropriate to Spanish style architecture.
Provide a patio flooring material
And,
that is appropriate for the Spanish style.
Provide a patio flooring material that is appropriate to the Spanish style. And that's my motion.
I'll second. Oh, and that it's not allowed in the front yard.
And the proposed ADU is not approved for a front yard application.
Thanks.
Chair Lewis,
Yes.
Board Member Graffiti,
No.
Board Member Sherry. I don't know.
And then
Does
do we
that
want to
pass or
provide
not?
any additional comments for the no?
I just think that there are too many details that still need to be worked out, from the trellis to the front entrance. I think the front entrance needs to be softened more. I will say, side note, I do appreciate the applicants. It seems like the intention is to be able to use this for different orientations, but I just think moving forward, we should have, 2 to 4 different orientations that are very clear which direction they should be, but that's not limited to this project. And just the window sizes on the front entrance, and I just felt like that there was still more to be worked out, and I couldn't approve today. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Yeah. Oh, and, no, we did. That was the vote. That was the vote. And so, yeah, we adjourned the Single Family Design Board meeting for September 30th. Thank you.